Hello, good evening. Waiting for this to switch. Nobody would have switched by now. That's weird. There they go. There they go. Hope everyone is well. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Bueller. It says 8 on, so let me make a quick check here and make sure my settings are changed to the proper audio. Yes, it is. Okay, good. Thanks, Dungeon Journeyman. We weren't sure. Sometimes, sometimes we just want to make sure. So, awesome. And welcome. I haven't badgered Reaper, but I gotta start badgering him about a new ad. I really do. This thing's like 14 months old.
Yeah, it's been around for a while. They need to have something new, cool.
Yeah.
They have so many new cool products, I presume. So that's why they should have new cool videos.
Hey, what's up, Katana? And Marco made that one up. Yes, yay, Dorgrim. So, Titan Dice giveaway tomorrow night and Saturday night, guys and gals, both nights. I got a whole bunch of two brand new Titan Dice colors in. Woo! 2 brand new colors. I got a whole bunch of them.
They just ended a Kickstarter on one of the Dice guys. So that'll be showing up pretty soon.
Cool.
It's good you keep your
Hey, Knock, what's going on, man?
I've been well here. That's awesome. Yeah.
Good to hear that you like the Long Riders too. It's an underrated Western. Didn't get as much acclaim as I think it should. It's pretty brutal. I know we're talking about that in Discord today.
I was sitting listening to Wang Chung all afternoon. So.
What's that? Wang Chung? What?
Well, haven't you ever listened to Wang Chung?
Yeah, come on, Dance Hall Days.
Long time ago.
Yeah, I love Wang Chung. They had 3 good songs.
More or less.
Yeah, they had Everybody Have Fun Day, Every Wang Chung Tonight, and then Dance Hall Days, and what was the third one?
Yeah, those are the 2 big ones.
There's one other one. I always get them and Mr. mixed up because Kiri is Mr.
Oh yeah, Mr. is awesome. So Wang Chung. Now I need to search on Spotify here. So I need to.
There's a third song.
Okay.
And I just can't. I can't. My brain is.
Sung.
What's that?
Wang Sung.
Wang Chung.
Chung. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Jason? See, I got it right now. No more Josh. Oh my gosh. I'm lucky if I.
What the? I have a non-functioning keyboard here, so let's see.
There. See, it only took 6 months. So so good news. While Gamescape 3D's ads on, I talked to the owner, Jeremy, and we gave him some suggestions for a custom piece based on one of the road sets, and he's going to start making it for us. So we're going to actually see some custom work from him for our game table. So looking forward to that. We also got like a toll booth coming for that road set right there that we have out on the table now. It's being printed as we speak. Bill's doing it. So yeah, Wang Chung, Dance Hall Days, Everybody Wang Chung Tonight, and there's a third song I can't remember. That was like popular. They had 3. Oh. Len brought up Wang Chung. Well, that's awesome.
Dance Hall, Everybody Have Fun Tonight, Fire in the Twilight, and Let's Go.
I guess I have to do third. Well,
I'm gonna say
live and die in LA. Is that?
Dance Hall Days is the most popular.
Here comes the rain again.
I love that one. So I've heard this one. Yeah, you know. And Everybody Have Fun Tonight, second most, and Fire in the Twilight, third most, and Let's Go, fourth most popular. Space Junk, Dance Hall Days.
So Jason, one night we were stuck on topics, and I was going to do, and I didn't do it because we got a topic, but I was going to do late 70s, early 80s D&D movies and other pop culture. Right? On Gavin. And I was going to do, talk about Hawk the Slayer and Sword and Sorcerer and all those. But we didn't.
Beastmaster. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But they were good for its time. They were not better to watch back then. So we didn't have Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy or anything like that. So
Peter Jackson did screw things up a little bit.
Yeah, but overall he did an amazing.
Overall, he got
The Hobbit was overdone. Yeah. The Hobbit was overdone.
Yeah, the Hobbits were kind of stressed.
It's way too much. They should have done it in 2 movies, I think, not 3. Yeah. Hey, Cronenberg.
But the Lord of the Rings, I think they will go down in movie history as epic.
Yeah, the first 3 were awesome.
Oh yeah, especially when you see the director's cuts, you get them extra long. So you get like 9 hours, 10 hours. They're fantastic.
Lady Hawk, yeah.
Oh yeah, Lady Hawk is good too.
Christian Slater.
That's one I want to see again.
Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah. I love the start when he's a thief and he's never going to steal anything again. When he's fleeing those dungeons and he kind of comments and mutters that I'm never going to do this again and always tell me to never steal anything again. I love that. It's so cool.
Yeah, good one too.
Anything Harryhausen.
Boingo Boingo, he had Dead Man's Party, and then he did the theme from Weird Science. Boingo Boingo. Oh, it's Matthew Broderick, not Christian Slater.
Matthew Broderick. Yeah, that's the name.
I'm thinking of the one with Sean Connery.
Good save.
Which is the one where they're in the they're monks or whatever, and the poison's on the books. Sean Connery's a monk, and the poison's on the books. Oh God. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Archer's a rare one, Jason. It's hard to find. In the name of the Rose. Yes, that's it, Grendel. Yeah. So, all right, tonight. Speaking of secret societies, here comes Blue Box in too. Look at that timing. Speaking of, thank you, secret societies tonight. Whoa, this one's a test because I had to do a lot of research because I wanted to go outside of my comfort zone. I got a couple in my comfort zone, but I got a lot outside, so I'm probably going to be bouncing around a lot. Hey, thank you all. Look at that, perfect timing. And we're 1 minute from, so here we go. Thank you. Oh, I hit the wrong button. That was supposed to be going in the screen. I didn't mean to shout out myself. That was supposed to be this press. I was on the wrong Streamlabs button screen. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for that awesome. Oh, look at that. And Chuck's on too. Wow. Troller, thank you. I'll get to everyone in a second. Thank you. I'm Jay, a.k.a. Lord Gazumba. I got the great Greyhawk Mike Bridges with me tonight, the wonderful Anna Meyer with me tonight, and the ever legendary Leonard Lakofka tonight. So, yeah, I hate to do this, but I have to tell this story. Mark, if you're on, you got me fired up. So Mark CMG got me fired up. So he's in Facebook, and Mark posts a lot of cool things. And what are my two? Let's see how smart you are. What are the 2 things in the world, in the D&D world, that plague me? 2. There's 2 things.
One we know, but
which is what?
The other one.
You can say it.
Thrummel being
exactly. The Thrummel
Yeah.
vampire. That plagues the hell out of me.
Yeah.
So what is the second thing in the world that plagues me? You posted it in October
Dinosaurs.
2017, Mike. The Robert Wardall video. Okay, right? The longest game in the history. That okay.
Oh, okay. Now
Yeah, Anna, you thought I was Robert Wardall,
exactly.
remember?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So Mark on his site, he posts a link. Isn't this impressive? ... And it's a compilation of the great that channel. Oh, look at this great video we have about this guy who has the longest campaign in history. I'm like, oh my God, it never ends. It never ends. And yes, and so this has been 2.5 years of Robert Wardall down my throat.
You have to contact that.
I did after
channel and tell them, and they come and visit your game room and show it how it's supposed to look.
So guess what? I sent them. There was an email address attached to that. I sent them a detailed email. I said, "You were my inspiration for getting on Twitch," and I'm not lying. You know, that was one of the main inspirations.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. So thank you. Two things, Mark, for linking that so that it got me fired up, and then I sent them an email. So there you go. So Len, I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent there. Len,
but that was
you have another great contest. I have it right here. You want to talk about it?
Well, yeah, I was looking at a deck of many things, and I thought it would be fun to have a contest where the players took a few cards out of a certainly a tarot deck is what I use, and assigned powers to them. And I selected 7 cards. Now I selected a 26 card tarot deck, which is the major arcana and the 4 aces of the 4 suits. And I'm asking you to give powers to the 7 specific cards that I've selected.
Cool.
I've selected the Ace of Swords, the Fool, the Magician, the Hierophant, the Chariot, the Hermit, the Hanged Man, and the World. And you get to give those a power. Now, we're not dealing with the deck as if it were upside down or right side up.
Okay.
We're just saying that the card has this power, period, whether it's right side up or whether it's upside down.
Hey, I notice you have some things they can do here with it. You can select some special preset abilities. This is if you've ever done so Joe. So Len wants to make this easy for people, right? We don't want to do an entire tarot deck; that'll be insane. But the deck of many things is iconic in the Dungeon Master's Guide, right? I mean, it's iconic, and so this is a little mini deck that Len wants you to create using 7 cards. I think it's a cool idea.
Now,
really,
not the 78 card right side up, upside down one. That takes a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a great idea. You haven't, and Len, how specific do you want them to be? With the powers? Two sentences for each?
They've got to say what, if you draw the card, what does it do?
Right.
It's that simple. And various cards have various things, and various decks call different things by different names. That's not
Megan.
For example, pentacles are sometimes called coins, wands are sometimes called batons, although swords and cups are usually swords and cups. So I'm asking you to do the Ace of Swords. Now, you can read up some book on tarot if you want. A especially good one, Mastering the Tarot.
Also, take a look
at... who's this by? Eden Gray, Edengray, not Grey. And it's a nice primer. It takes you through understanding what the numbered cards are. They come in sets. 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, and then 10. And the suit is culminating in the 10. It's starting with 1, 2, and 3. It's building in 4, 5, and 6. It's making major progress in 7, 8, and 9, and then it culminates in 10. And that's the way most of those suits work.
So it's a great idea, and it's basic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Len's email after the show, okay, guys and gals, after the show, I'll take Len's tarot email, and I'm going to copy and paste this into the Lord Gazumba spot in Greyhawk Online and in Cannon Fire's Discords, okay? So you'll have all this information, all right? I will do that, and if you're not on either one of them and you want me to forward the email, just whisper me the email address. I'll forward it to you, but I know most of you are in the Discords. If you're not, then, you know, I'll make sure you get it. And you have a week from Friday, so you got some time to work this up for Len. What's the prize, Len?
I don't know yet. Well, the reason I don't know yet is I've got 3 Kickstarters that have just finished.
Okay.
And I would take something from one of those Kickstarters, and I don't know which one is going to arrive in the mail first. So you could be dealing with a prize that's a month away. You could be. I don't think it's worse than that.
No problem.
There's 1 or 2 that just finished and were promising delivery in September, early October. So it'll be something. I don't know exactly what yet.
We do have that thinner book that you sent to me with the taverns and stuff. We could do that one if you think it's just of that level, right?
I suppose.
It's up. Well,
if you got something you.
All right. Well, we'll think on it and make sure, but it'll be worth the while, of course. But I have that book, so we could do that too. 7, only 7 cards. You don't need to do 26.
No.
It's 7 cards. That's it.
7
So,
cards.
yeah. Yeah. Canadian's been lucky. Yeah, he won 2 last week, so he won the He won the $75 gift certificate to Miniature Building Authority, and then came back on Sunday and won another one during the Luke Gygax one. So that's good. I mean, I'm glad to see that from everyone. So, Len, I think it's a great idea. It's something really a little different. It's a cool idea. Anna, what do you think?
Well, I emailed the 4 winners from the prior contest that I've done. And I've sent a few to the guys who ran CAFCON in North Carolina. Cool. So, well, you can look at the list who I sent them to.
Yeah, I believe I saw that. It was about 8 people, including Anna and myself.
Yeah,
so.
10.
Yeah. Excellent. So, go ahead, Anna. No, go ahead.
I was going to say it has a good. It's a great idea. It's easy to facilitate, and it's also meaning mechanically and stuff. You can print cards and.
Yeah, it should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
The vast majority of decks of many things that I've seen, in general, you finish in 50 words or less. Usually, much less. One of the favorites is you turn the card over and you disintegrate.
Yeah.
Voila.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Len, Blue Box is on before us with their Lore Masters Arcanum, and they said they briefly looked at your Lehman's Tiny Hut from Dragon number 39, which I think is the Anti-Paladin Dragon, which is one of the best ones of all time. So there you go. It's a yellow cover. Yeah, I believe that's the Anti-Paladin article as well. Yes, cool.
Yeah, so, I don't have that list memorized by any stretch.
Yeah, but I know they were in that one. So I say that one and 60 are the 2 best of all time. 39's right there with 60. You know, so 60's got You've Been Had in it, so you can't get any better than You've Been Had. Tonight, all right. So secret societies. Gary will be joining us again later, like he normally does. So we're going to hold off on 2 of these in the discussion until Gary gets on, and those are
Gary's a one-man secret society.
Yeah, exactly.
He is, isn't he? Oh man,
very much so.
Yeah, absolutely. So he is definitely that, and we're going to hold off on the 2 of them, and I'll just put them out there: the Silent Ones and the Seekers of the Arcane, until he comes on. So, because I know they're dear to his heart and they're part of his article, and so we'll hold off on them. Plus, any of the other ones, we may discuss some of the other ones that he's going to discuss. So, I learned a lot on this that I had no idea. So, I'll start off with one. How's that
Can't
sound?
wait.
I don't know. Didn't know about a lot of these, and there's some old articles that are like, oh my gosh, this is great. So if we look at Ivid the Undying, which we covered last week, this one is the Midnight Darkness. Now they're all over the Great Kingdom, it appears. So Midnight Darkness is kind of the secret enforcers of the Great Kingdom. Am I right on that, everyone out in the audience?
Yeah.
Anna, what do you know about them?
I don't know much about them, but they are one of the. Let's see. There was kind of a spy network or intelligence network, I think, but I forgot exactly.
Esther says no.
Okay.
They're a neutral murder cult.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
From Mrs. Stricken.
See, I thought I read that the Overking in the past used them to enforce their will. Maybe not. No, they used them for murder. Sure. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I could have sworn I read in there somewhere that the Overking liked to utilize them to his advantage. Well, maybe that has changed since then. So
they're a cult. Yep.
Yeah, it is definitely a cult. So time frame goes way back on this group. A long time, and just once again, it's not my side of the map, so I don't know anywhere near as much as I should about them. Mike, do you know anything about them?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. There you go. So
they're in
Ivid the Undying. They're in Dragon 59 and Ivid the Undying. They're the two spots that they're in.
Yeah, so I can find them.
Ivid the Undying, page 25. Living Greyhawk Gazette. Gazetteer, page 25.
I thought Carl Sargent created them.
They target paragons of goodness and murder them by means and leave a ritual poison dagger with black cloth with contact poison in their victims. That's sure who we had, who was our expert on Ivid on last week. Thank you so very much, Dale, for that. So there you go. So that we started off with one that we were wrong on. So say modify. Okay, so Dragonfire may modify what Ivid said. Dragon 59 came out well before Ivid, so that was out. I think Dragon 59 predates Sargent. It has to. That early. Yeah, I think there were. Yeah, it definitely predated them.
I didn't start collecting Dragon till like issue 80, and that was like, I think we were still in AD&D at that time.
59, you said.
Yeah, so that's what I thought, Jason. That hey, there's Longitalis. You've been requested to come on the show in the future, so I will make sure that happens. We'll do a Cannon Fire. We're going to do the wonders of, I think, the Cannon Fire and Greyhawk Online's wikis and discussion. I think that would be a good one to do. Down the road, we get a bunch of experts on for both sites and what you can do on those sites. I think that would be a great Legends and Lore or Gavin, one or the other. So here, all right. So the Eben aspect, I have it here, was founded by Lashana, a vampire silver dragon. Oh my God. And Mahudril and whatever. Crazy.
Vampire silver dragon.
It says vampire silver dragon. That's what this says.
Then it must be the second vampire silver dragon. There's one in Age of Worms too.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that seems to be a common.
Wait, Lashana?
Yeah. Lashana. Yeah, and then
Lashana
Mahudril
is in Age of Worms.
Yeah. So this goes into the Age of Worms.
Okay.
The architects of the Ebon Triad spoke to those they had chosen to be of leaders and priests of the cult. These heretics were taught the beliefs of the Ebon Triad, were given copies of the way of the Ebon Triad, blah, blah, blah. It says, in the year 594, agents of Ebon Triad conspired with another dangerous cult, the Cage Rites, to trigger a volcanic eruption that nearly consumed the city of Cauldron. So this is in the Cauldron Eric Mona days, okay? Mm-hmm. So in the distant southern jungles. To the Ebon Triad, this event was merely one of a handful of prophesized events presaging the event of the Age of Worms.
Yeah, the Ebon Triad was kind of weird.
Yeah, okay.
I was not a fan of it when I ran Age of Worms. I don't know what they were thinking. It's definitely cult material, I suppose. But it was like trying to combine the aspects of three different deities.
It did, yeah, and that's what it says here.
I want to say like Hextor and Erythnol and something.
The bibliography are the following individuals: James Jacobs. Hey, we're going to have him on the show Sunday. Mike Merles and Richard Pett are the three. Yeah. So, and it's Erythnol, Hextor, and Vecna all together.
Yeah, you know, it's so random. So random.
It is. It's insane, but hey, it's cool. So it's all over the place.
Combine Raxivort and Nerl and you name it. It was so random.
Someone is texting me when they shouldn't be. So there's one, and this one goes Ivid the Undying into the Shackled City and throughout the Age of Worms. So it is well used.
Ooh.
Okay, the Ebon Triad, well used. All right, so Len, you got one. Why don't you tell us about yours in Lendar Isle while we have you for the next 10 minutes?
Yeah.
You said the one about the 7. What's that?
Well, there's an Assassin's Guild in like what is now Lake Farman. It was something else for L2. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean that, and you said there was the 7 in the ones and Rel.
Oh, that's the 7 leaders of Laurel Tarma, not Laurel Tarma.
Okay. Excellent. So tell us about it.
Well, that group was the considered the Lord Mayors or runners of the town. They had a lot of competition that they were aware of or simply ignored, and there were 3 good lawful high priests and 3 evil lawful high priests, and the swing vote was the good chaotic high priest. And sometimes he would go with the evil people, and sometimes he'd go with the good people. He used to,
what were they priests of?
He vexed them all. They were mostly 16th and 17th, 18th level. They were big guys.
So you're saying it was a council of 7 that ran everything?
Council of 7, yeah, that ran all.
And
so, but that's not. It's not a guild or anything nifty like that. It's not a secret society by any stretch. But it's what I used to run the city. There was an Assassin's Guild in Laurel Tarma, along of which it was one of the, when you move from one place to the other, there's always that one box to get lost. And that one box had a lot of my D&D stuff.
Oh, that's a shame.
It was, stuff where I wrote up this or that or the other thing, or did the history of the campaign or what have you. And many of those things just went poof. I had to write Croton of L5. I had to write that up from scratch. As I had done the whole thing, had 2 sets of players play it. But I had to do the whole damn thing over again because it was gone.
Well,
they gave me $100 for it. Well, the boxes were insured. It was, one of those deals.
Yeah.
I said, you're missing box number.
That's a shame.
Went, oh. And see, they keep a total count. When they deliver, they tell you how many boxes. And their total number didn't agree with the total number that they agreed that I sent. So they knew 1 box got lost. So they had to pay me $100 for that.
It's a shame, and I can remember when I moved into this house in 2013, man, those boxes did not go in the moving truck. They went in my vehicle. All the main, all the notebooks and all that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's just because you didn't, it's stuff you can't.
Well, at the time when I moved from Chicago to California, that was the big switch.
Yeah. Where
I had to pack it up and move it because I had a deadline to get it ready for the moving day.
So, Len, what was in L2 the end game for the Assassin's Guild and the Adventure of the Assassins not? Why don't you tell everyone about that? What was the end game?
Now you're asking me to remember that from writing it 40 years ago.
It's one of the top 30 modules of all time.
Oh, well, I don't know. I frankly liked L1 better than I liked L2, but that's, you know, I can't
I love them
argue
both.
with whoever graded the system.
Yeah. I mean,
And then, of course, L3 didn't come out until 20 years later.
L2 was great because of just, it was story driven, and bad things happened during that adventure. That's really hard to stop, the assassinations and all the underhandedness. And if Tim's on, Tim permanently lost a character in L2 back in the day, back in the 80s. So, you know, but just, was the Assassin's Guild just to overtake the entire town, do you think, or was it?
Well, they were in the background. They weren't leaders of the town, but they were definitely in the background.
Okay.
I don't remember how many of them I had, 8, 9, 10 guys, something like that. And they killed off the Baron of Restonford, and they killed off the Baroness of Restonford, with bringing Andrella, their daughter, up to the forefront. And then the cleric, who was behind hiring the assassins, was already in Restonford, and he had the belief that he could marry Andrella, kill her off then, and become Baron of Reston.
Well, it's very...
Not the best plot in the entire world, but that's the one I came up with at the time.
The cool thing is, though, is that intrigue was early. I mean, that storyline was super early, and it definitely was a secret society, if we want to talk about one out of all of them. I mean, one of the first modules that had something like that. It was very plot-driven, and it was excellent.
Well,
so,
I had a lot of fun with, and it's not a society or anything, but I had a lot of fun with the Church of the Big Gamble.
Oh, yeah.
And, players ran into that. They went into a room with 5 tables and 4 chairs around each table. And the priest came out, and they sat down at the tables and said, put money on the table, and got out cards or dice, I think. And they gambled.
So,
and the players didn't win.
Very rarely, because I know the odds were against them, I think, for the most part. So if you've never done L1...
I played a dice game called In Between, where you use 3 dice all of the same size, but the goal is the house rolls 2 dice. Let's say they're 6-sided. So now if he rolls a 2 and a 3, they're touching. You can't get in between them. You've lost automatically. If he rolls a 1 and a 6, you can roll 2, 3, 4, and 5 and win. So the bigger the dice size, the more opportunity you have to worm your way into a win. It's in L1 or 2 somewhere. I think
it's in L1. It's in
L1. 10-sided dice for the playing of it, and it might be written in the Church of the Big Gamble. That might have been the game they played.
Oh, and Jason, L1's a sandbox. I mean, there's a plot there and there's a story there, but there's so much to do on the outskirts. So L1 is a sandboxy type.
And I was surprised that as many people hadn't done as much up to that point.
Right.
It's just laying it out, and then of course I went back a few years ago, and I fleshed out Restonford as after the attack on it in 576. 577 is when the party is going off to do something or other. But then, by then, they had built a wall all the way around the town of Restonford, and it didn't have that in the past. It's one of the reasons that the was it goblins, hobgoblins, orcs, whatever it was. I think it was orcs, accompanied by ogres and a troll or two and a giant, came to decide to attack Restonford. But
you even have what buildings were destroyed.
For them to get away with it.
You even have what buildings were destroyed and who got killed.
Oh yeah, I did. I have the list.
Absolutely.
It's in there. I think it's in 4.
You also send it
The
out in
new
a
party. The new
spreadsheet.
party arrives from the continent, and they're off to accomplish something. And when they arrive in Restonford, the raid has just occurred a little while ago, and the resident party is off chasing the remnants of the attackers.
Very cool.
So the party from L3 is not the party that's going to go L4. That's a different group of people. They arrive by ship. And then I do the whole voyage in L4 as to how they got there.
And hopefully you'll do some more. We'll do some more in the future too. And I know it's probably 8:25. I know you probably have to depart.
Oh, it's 5:25. I have to. So anyway,
See what,
the contest is leoman@aol.com. And if they have questions, it's leoman@aol.com.
and I'm going to link it into Discords tonight.
I'm off.
Have a good one, Leonard. See you soon.
Arrivederci.
Hey, Lynn.
Yep. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. So there were some good articles when I found this. The one that really stuck out to me on secret societies, and Gary will hop on whenever he hops on, is this one. Hidden Agendas. And this is by Andy Miller. Okay.
I've met him.
So what?
Gen Con.
Is
Awesome.
that from a dragon or
256.
256? Okay.
Dragon 256 this is from. And I think that's the cover right there. And there's a lot of good ones from this as well. But so Anna, Mike, you got one you guys want to pop and discuss?
I need some clarification on secret societies. Is
Sure.
this a society that nobody's heard about? They completely work in
not
secret, as it says, or is it a organization we do know about, but the members are secret?
I say both.
All my question. I was going to frame it. Yeah, but I also because that was one of the things that I thought about, because secret society can mean a lot of different things, and some things are kind of obvious. Let's say Scarlet Brotherhood.
Exactly.
Yeah, meaning for everyone who lives in and works and exists inside the Scarlet Brotherhood, it's not a secret society. It's the government, and they might hide the other world. So it depends on what side you're sitting on, and that might be 100,000 people, and then some slaves and stuff like that, with all included. So secret depends on from what angle you're seeing it, so to speak. So a lot of cults and stuff might be huge and encompass a lot of them, and some secret societies are the opposite from Scarlet Brotherhood. They are tiny. You can have like maybe you can run. I was thinking you can run the campaign and say that the Circle of Eight might be they might decide to be a secret society of archmages to keep an eye on things.
That's
or
what I
like
wondered.
that.
Everyone knows the members of the Circle
We
of
know
Eight.
that
Do they
because
know
we
that they're
read-
together?
Yeah, but also I was thinking, do people, general, the men in the street in Greyhawk, do they know about Circle of Eight?
Yeah.
Or are they
I
secret?
think yes. I think in the Greyhawk case, they're so public.
Well, yeah,
Now they
so
may not know
they're
the
kind of-
machinations behind the scenes, but I think that it's a public face that they have.
Yeah, so meaning so the rulers of Greyhawk and even Circle of Eight they might use them for political propaganda to kind of show off and say, we have the Circle of Eight, they are our awesome protectors or something, I don't know. Or they might just be a secret kind of weapon in the arsenal of the rulers of Greyhawk, or they might just be a society acting on their own behalf, not from anyone else. So yeah, so that was my thinking. What is secret to might be open, and we know all about it as reading about the campaign and all that, but I was thinking from an in-campaign perspective, meaning the creatures and the NPCs and the lowly farmers, do they know about this stuff?
It's a good point. I know we did an entire episode on the Circle of Eight, so but we can discuss them.
I just use it as an example.
Yeah,
I think that you can either see the Circle of Eight as a bunch of public figures that have interest, or you can run them as a secret
Is the Ring of
society.
Five
a
secret society, or is that a wizard group?
Yeah.
True. I would say a lot of them can be classified as both, really, because you have a
Yeah.
lot of, because I'll say this, I would agree, every Thieves Guild and Assassins Guild and in Altamira's case, Bounty Hunters Guild is one as well. And I didn't want to include all of them because I found so many of these other groups. I was like, I never heard of before.
Yeah. No, we can focus on the more eccentric stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But
one aspect too is that a group might be kind of feared and secret, meaning everyone has heard about the Horn Society or something, or they're scared, terrified, scared stiff of them, or the Midnight Darkness, but no one knows anything about them. They're just striking from nowhere. But so a group might be known and still be secret, so to speak. They don't know
while
who
we're
they
on
are,
that subject,
what they're doing, but they are terrified of them.
Then the slave lords would be in the same category.
Exactly. Yeah, that a secret group that everybody's terrified
to this day, I don't know who the members are necessarily without picking up a book.
I think we should do an entire Legends and Lore on. I know I kind of covered it in Gabin, the entire slavers, like Wild Coast area, Pomarge area. But the slavers themselves and the characters in depth, I think, is a great topic. As an entire episode, I think we could really delve into deep into a lot of stuff and get Carla. We have to get Carla.
There's some layers there because you got like the Orcish Empire, you got the slave lords, you got the cult of the Earth Dragon.
Exactly.
Gary, the slave lords are run by Altamira. That's so funny. Now you're sounding like those freaking. Now you're sounding like the Cannon Fodder group people, all crazy, insane on their oh, by the way, so I get to torture a new group on Saturday night. This was 4 streams and 5 nights. The Geoff style Living Greyhawk All-Stars on Saturday night. So I get to torture a whole new group of players. Anna, of course, is honorary because Anna's the protection against negative hero points all the time. So I got all these notes here. So
let's go.
Man. All right, so Midnight Darkness. Let's talk about them. All right, since we brought them up. So they've been around a long time, it appears.
Yeah.
Very long time. Anyone want to start off on those?
I'm reading the Rob Coons here. So
yeah, we already kind of dug into Midnight Darkness.
Yeah. Nasty group.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Anna. Go for it.
I would say there is another secret group. They are in the darkness. The Midnight Darkness clan are in opposition at this time, whenever that article made it. It's in opposition to the Secret League of Foltus. So that's another secret organization.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's So that is a lot of goings on with Midnight Darkness against the and I think I have a little blurb.
Thematically, that makes sense that they would be.
Yeah. So Midnight Darkness is the one that has a lot of goings on. Here's they're right in the Eve of the Undying reference. Okay, and that is this position in his group in Zeldrad, and is peculiar and dangerous. Preceptor Erkan is based here. So there's a lot of goings on of this one. Ash Sir, if you want to put something in chat about them. From Eyes the Evil, I found that blurb about them in there, but it sounds like, the Fultians who got, I guess, completely pulled out of Roxas, right, and obliterated out of Roxas during when everything broke down, for the most part, right? So they exist in the Pale. I can see the fighting's going on secretly behind the scenes between those two organizations. So.
Yeah, now I'm going to see.
Yeah, I think that's the main gist of Midnight Darkness. They're in a lot of locations. Aren't they in Rel Astra as well? I believe they're in that in Rel Astra as well, and they're in certain locations throughout the Great Kingdom. And it's an organization that doesn't sound like it's to be trifled with, and that they can do a lot of damage to good organizations or even neutral ones, because the Carl Sargent version of Foltus is lawful neutral. right? That's when that all started, with the lawful neutral aspect and the unrigid aspect, and that led to the Fultians and the Tritherian people hating each other too. So you got chaotic goods hating lawful neutrals, hating the evils in the Great Kingdom. So you got this whole mess, and that's the first appearance I see of turning Foltest from a lawful good god. You know how St. Cuthbert and Foltest are both lawful good with lawful neutral tendencies? Well, kind of
Yeah.
Sergeant turned Foltest into a true lawful neutral zealot, right? And I've played on that for years in my campaign.
Yeah,
with
but when you read the Gord books, those 10 or the Paleyites, they I think they're depicted as, if I remember correctly, as kind of fairly brutal, and they're chasing and stuff. And both the Tenna host and the Pale, because Gord is going past up there on that road movie a little bit. So, but I might be wrong on this one. But I think that there was something there that Carl Sargent picked up on afterwards. I think.
Okay, so it was an organization that really
But both
existed
make sense.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, both make sense. That if they're the good guys that were, if you depict Foltest as the really good one, then that they fled early and created their own realm, kind of makes sense from that standpoint. But I guess it also makes sense if they're very lawful, because they might see that kind of the evil bent and so on, kind of. Or they might become very lawful afterwards, or more neutral afterwards, and be very good from the beginning and become indoctrinaire when they got their own realm. I don't know.
Kind of hard to keep your group secret if you're chaotic.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think lawful groups are probably much easier for them to keep secret for longer. Yeah.
So,
good point. Great point. Yeah.
Another group that's in the Great Kingdom area, and this one I got from this 3rd edition book, Sword and Fist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I don't know if this is Secret Society, but it's the Fists of Hexter. Mike makes right. It also makes a pretty good living.
Uh-huh.
So the Fists of Hexter are kind of like a mercenary group. It's a fraternity of lethal mercenaries. But they got to be Hexter worshippers. They must prove themselves by undergoing a series of rigorous and sometimes sadistic tests, known collectively as the trials of Hexter. So, the Church believes firmly the trials allow applicants to demonstrate the proper attitude and resolve necessary for inclusion in the ranks of the Fists of Hexter. So, yeah, pretty brutal here.
A monk organization, I assume. I can't remember that book. It's been so long.
Yeah, I don't think it's just monks. I think it's all types of. I mean, monks are part of it, but I think it's all, all classes. From what I read from this.
Yeah, fist is probably more like I would interpret that as a saying, so to speak. The fist, the ones that are up there punching the enemy, not literally with their hands, but more kind of figuratively. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can go either way. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Folks speak in hushed tones, with many a paranoid glance over their shoulders, of human sacrifice, ritualistic murders, and orgies of bloodshed so vile as to make what the Fists of Hexter perpetrate in the field a battle seem a stroll in a summer meadow by comparison. Sounds
like the North Kingdom secret.
Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fists of Hexter invariably emerge from the induction ceremony bearing hideous scars on their faces, necks, and arms. So there you go. So this is definitely a group that has a lot of ritual to it, and has a lot of ritualistic killing, and is just not beyond just going out and fighting other mercenary groups or whatever. They have some kind of secret agenda. So there you go. And that's. I occasionally will pull from a 3rd edition book, which is decent, and that is one right there.
Yeah.
So, and I'm assuming, being that Church of Hexter, it could be anywhere, but I'm assuming a lot of it is Great Kingdom based.
Yeah.
So there you go. I keep on looking up to see if Gary's going to hop
Yeah.
on. I'm assuming he will at some point. All right. Hey, John, thanks. Thanks for all the subs and sub gifts and the cheer out, man. Thank you. And what a great show. Glad Tim came on and told you some of his trade secrets and craziness. So that's kind of awesome. Now you know what I got to deal with on a daily basis. Just kidding. So, all right, anyone want to pick one?
I just love Pubic Dad saying that the Sul are polymorph turtles. Yeah. Yep. that was fun. Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of secret service advertising.
Something I've run quite
It's
often as a secret society in my campaign is the Old Faith, meaning the Druidic faith, that they have turned into a kind of secret society.
Okay.
Yeah, because they often they are kind of seen as the old, and then they're being worked against and a lot of stuff. So they are the secret kind of not outcast, but they are kind of a parallel religious legal entity in many realms, so to speak. And they're partially tolerated so long as they don't aspire to too much political power. They kind of and I'm going back to Hamlet and you have Cuthbert, that was the main temple and the main, but there was you had what was it, J. Rue or something like that, the druid that lived in the village, and he had that little hut and stuff. So I get that sense a lot of times that in a lot of places in Greyhawk, the old faith is kind of a half stealthy, and I depict them as having their own rangers and meaning they have their own parallel half secret, or very often in many places, in some places they run the show, but in some places they are probably kind of very secret and underground.
I believe John at Blue Box had one of, here comes Gary, had one of his contacts for his groups, one of the servants of that druid, because he has a druid in his group too, which is kind of cool. So organizations may be out in the open, but may have a secret agenda too. So we got to count them.
Yes, exactly. That way, yeah, they might have a face and then they do something completely different.
How you doing, Gary?
Hello.
He's putting it up. Look at that pic.
Yeah.
That's got to be something.
Oh, is that the that's Bikioland? It's
it's the Seekers
or
Silent Ones.
Hang on a second. I'm trying to.
About time, Gary. We can't hear you if you're talking. If you're talking, you have no sound.
Hey guys.
There we go.
Sorry, a little cleanup here.
Oh, it's okay, man. It's okay.
The Silent Ones.
It's absolutely.
There he is.
I know.
Who came up with this design? I'm curious.
I didn't. I found it somewhere. So someone during the Living Greyhawk campaign created that design, and I kind of used it put it on my map. But I found it somewhere in some module, some Living Greyhawk module. So I don't know who did it, but someone did.
So Canadian, Gary has never, we've always gotten these picks, and that's okay because we get his presence in the discussion. So that's one of the, yes. So Canadian asked why no pick, and I said I have no idea, and it's not my business. So there you go. How's that? Always a good thing to have you on. I'm going to, all right. So
it's interesting because it does scream Ancient Soul to me for some reason. I don't know what that means, but
yeah.
But I'm trying to interpret the design. It looks like it has Asian characters around the edge of it, so I'm not sure what that means. But
yeah, it has some script that looks kind of a little bit Japanese or something. Yeah.
Is that the Silent Ones or the Seekers?
It's the Silent Ones.
That's the Silent Ones.
Okay.
According to Anna's heraldry.
Well, yeah, my research, someone put it. So I didn't do the design, so I stole it from somewhere in the Living Greyhawk campaign and put it in there.
Cool.
So I know, and we got your Keeland article linked up there now, and the Seekers of the Arcane are not as ancient as the Silent Ones, correct? Silent Ones are ancient?
Yeah, so the Silent Ones basically go back to the crossing from the passage of the Souloise into the Sheldamar Valley. So they're as old as the Reign of Colorless Fire, essentially.
Wow. And so we're talking a couple thousand years, right? So.
Oh no. That's max like 900 and something years, I think.
Oh, is it? Okay. But
yeah.
So that's when they got formed.
Well, I guess in the updated timeline, we're past 1,000 years now.
Oh yeah.
If you're in the 600 era, yeah. Jacob Jansen, great to see you, man. Great to see you on. What is their background, Gary, as far as the Silent Ones? And you did a lot of detail on them, I'm assuming, in your Keeland writings, and used them a fair amount.
Yeah, I mean, Eric even gave me space in Living Greyhawk Journal 4 to just do a whole article just about them. So they're going to have more detail than most secret societies might have anywhere else in the written printed stuff. So basically, they are the magic users who crossed through the Lost Passage with Slaughter, but weren't, on his power level, but knew a lot of the ancient secrets of the old Imperium, knew, roughly
They were the responsible ones.
They were the responsible ones. They knew the dangers of using magic and the repercussions of it. And so they were going to be the keepers of this lore. One of the things they, promised to do was never allow another mage of power to be created. Another one of their goals was to hide and destroy whatever evidence of Vecna's reign they could. Now, that comes with, there's a lot of backstory in the Living Greyhawk Journal, but one of the suggestions in the backstory from Uhas of Naheli, which is the author of the Chronicle of Secret Times, which is like the tell-all book of what happened during those years. And one of the suggestions is that these apprentices, these silent ones, were just about to make a deal with Vecna when Cass struck the deadly blow and took him down. So they, of course, they claim credit for this fall, but were they really about to, defeat him, or no? It's not clear.
Spin.
Exactly.
Wow.
So they're the ones who dug through the trash pile and found the hand and eye.
See, that's new. Not all right. So this wow, silent ones.
But did they bury them?
Well, of course not.
Of course not. Did they even control them for more than 10 years? Apparently not.
Wow.
So, the suggestion is, they may have found other stuff than the hand and eye, but if that information is available, it's in the Silent Tower. And
which is where?
Which is south of the capital of Keoland in Nile Dra.
Okay.
And it's a tower without a town. It's a very lonely tower. But
you can see it from
at least on two of the roads, the South Road and the West Road, you can see it on approach.
I'm going to go through. I have a ton of maps in here from all the shows. I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it. I swear to God. All right. So we're getting closer. Previous shows. Sea Princes. We're getting closer. Is that it?
Yep. Wrong side of the map still.
Mm-hmm.
It was up a couple, wasn't it?
Oh, you're close. Well, Sea Princess was close. Okay, stop. Oh, Anna has the heraldry right there. Oh, back one.
Back one. All right. Unfortunately, Twitch doesn't allow you to go backwards. So I gotta relink.
You don't look at Zoom. You look at Twitch because you're saying it 5 seconds after.
Yeah. All right. So here, this one here. All right. I see Crypt of Sekil, Nile Dra. Do I need to go down one?
Yeah, it was down one from that.
That's the one.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Silent Tower. Okay. Cool. There it is. All right. So there you have it. There, Fortress Gorada's there. And beautiful. There it is. Alrighty. So it's on the road to Breed? Between Nile Dra and Breed. Okay. All right.
Breed. Yeah.
All right. There you go. So that's where it is. And that's the base of the Silent Ones. Is that tower known about, Gary, or not?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It's hard to miss.
To the streets, so next to the major road from the capital to south. So yeah.
Oh, and so over the years they developed a public persona, which is teachers of magic, trainers of noble children, sometimes kidnappers of noble children. So they have a role in the society that lasted, maybe 600 or 700 years, where essentially they didn't let anyone practice magic who wasn't allowed to practice magic. So Keoland is always, Keoland has always had this more superstitious attitude about it.
Because they've been burnt.
Because they've been burnt, literally. So. So they're a known secret. They're an example of a society which is a secret society, but they are known and they have a public role. But maybe 300 common year, that role was kind of taken away from them by a Kyoish king who decided, you know what, the Great Kingdom is just on my borders, and I need to be able to respond in kind. So he wanted, essentially conventional mages for his army. So he essentially founded, academies in all the cities and said, we're gonna let mages be trained in Kyoland like any other country.
And the silent ones are like, ugh.
Exactly. How dare
Hundreds
you?
of years.
Well, that corresponds with when the Seekers of the Arcane were formed in the early 300s.
Yes.
Is that a coincidence?
It is.
Okay.
Only to the extent that in 300 was when the Great Kingdom was falling apart.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So when the Great Kingdom started to fall apart, you had all these explorers, essentially like a royal geographical society that had mapped the Flannis, had explored new lands, had dug through tombs, dug through ruins, and really fed the Great Kingdom with a lot of its knowledge and discoveries. But suddenly they were without a sponsor, a backer. So one of these guys said, you know what, I'm going to found my own society, and we're going to do it for profit. It's going to be for ourselves, not for the Great Kingdom. And that guy was from Ernst. So
Quintus Marius, is that it, or is that current? Okay.
That might either be the father of the son. I can't remember. Sewell. And one of the most famous places they like to go was Mar Castle, which figures prominently in Mordenkainen's Fantastic Adventure.
Yeah.
That's
where the irresponsible Sewell wizards went.
Right. So the idea of the Seekers is I was inspired by like the first Indiana Jones movie. You had that's the rivalry between the two archaeologists, Belloc and Indiana Jones, and the idea that Belloc seemed to me like someone who could be part of the secret society, who knew way more than most scientists and PhDs knew, and was out there trying to either acquire the stuff and sell it or acquire it and use it. So that's the inspiration for the Seekers. They're not all evil.
Okay.
And some of them might be even qualified as good. And we have examples. I think a paladin was sent on an expedition somewhere in the south. I can't remember what the reference is, but he may have explored Hepmonaland or something like that. But we have some examples of good ones. But the idea is that they're out for themselves. And to the extent they are a society, they share their information. So maybe you find out something in one tomb that becomes valuable to somebody else, or you have a map that you made that you share with somebody else. So
did they find the throne of the gods? Because it says in here in the wiki, prominent among these is the throne of the gods.
Well, that is that is the ultimate goal of society. If you could find the throne of the gods, that would be the Ark of the Covenant. That'd be the ultimate artifact to find.
So they're still searching for it.
They're still searching for that.
All right. So
like your Indiana Jones analogy, because in that the Seekers are sort of like both Indiana Jones and Belloc.
Exactly.
Depending on which side you're working on, but the silent ones are the guys who bury the Ark at the end of the movie.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And they are,
and the Seekers don't work like a unified group. They obviously have rivalries internally, and the best example of that is one of Mike's favorite NPCs.
Yeah, he's Belloc on steroids.
He's Belloc on steroids.
Which one?
Eli Tomaras.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which it's interesting because a lot of his henchmen in those modules, I assume, are also Seekers, or are they just henchmen? Is he the only Seeker, or does he have a group of Seekers?
Yeah, I don't think the society is big enough to have squads of retainers and that sort of thing. So they're hirelings.
Right.
Oh, there he is. The renegade Eli Tomaras, the deceased magician named Zatar, who who once found the throne of the gods. That's what it says in here. Baltrin from Baltrin's Beacon is an ex-Seeker.
Yeah.
So one of the things I don't know if Gary already said this, but
Kellic.
what I like about the Seekers is it's also a glory thing. It's a one-upmanship deal. So Eli Tomaras is probably looking for bigger and better things constantly, very obsessively. Throne of the Gods is like that ultimate goal. And then they have these lodges. I don't know if you got to this yet, but they got lodges, and I'm sure that's where they all get together and they brag about their exploits.
Right.
Ooh, interesting.
So I don't remember the issue number, but there's a Living Greyhawk journal where we wrote all this up.
Well, Seeker asked about the woman on the cover of Living Greyhawk. No, is that number 4? Living Greyhawk.
Okay, yeah,
that's a silent one, I think.
That is a silent one. I don't particularly like that art. The concept is interesting. So she's supposed to be. So the silent ones come in 2 varieties. There's anchorites of the tower. They're essentially like monks, and they live in the tower and they study and they illuminate scrolls and other kinds of and study magical items. And there are these wandering types that actually go out into the world and do jobs and adventure. And of course, if you adventure with one of them and you find something really cool, you might wake up in the morning and find your campsite deserted and that magical item gone.
Mm-hmm.
But she's an example of one, I guess, that lives apart, and she's supposed to be like this is actually Eric Mona's creation. He added it to the article.
Okay.
Yeah. So the idea of her is she's someone who rescues magical creatures who need help, kind of like an ASPCA for monsters.
Does that really fit with the silent one theme?
Probably, not, but maybe it's unique to her.
Okay.
So I'm now putting 2 and 2 together, and I this is how I learn how much I don't know, which is a good thing. And this is a minor thing, but the Dragon Chess champion Kellic, who's in the Age of Worms, who's in Expedition to the Ruins of Greyhawk, and just a thorn in the side, is one of the Seekers of the Arcane. Now I get it. I get it. He's the one hanging around. He's got the tower in the river quarter now. Okay. All right. Yeah. There you go.
They're the ultimate foil, because they could be with you, against you, or ignore you. They don't have to take any side in particular.
It's good to see that there's so much depth. Now, if you go to the bibliography here, there's an article by our trio, and we've had 2 of the 3 on the show, and the third coming: Jason Bowman, James Jacobs, Eric Mona. The adventure begins Dragon 348. Okay, and then Gary Julian, Rick Miller, Treasures of Greyhawk, Magic of the Company of 7, Dragon 359. And I see that's connected in because the Seekers of the Arcane are rivals with the Company of 7.
They were created around the same time.
Right. So essentially was it 254 common year, I think, you had the Viceroyalty of Ferrond break off from the Great Kingdom. That was the first major dissolution of the Great Kingdom to occur. And so you might think that maybe before that things were pretty buttoned up. The Great Kingdom had control over its lands and decided who could explore dungeons and who could, make claims. And once that happened, things started to fall apart. So north of the Shield Lands, the bandit kingdoms earned their reputation by not being very much under control. So it's not a surprise that you have Zagig and company go north of the Shield Lands and discover all this interesting magic. And that creates a gold rush feel for other people to say, you know what, we can do that too. And one of those is the founder of the Seekers.
Okay. Interesting.
What does one have? Okay. Sorry.
No, go for it, Mike. Absolutely.
I was going to say, what does Eli Tomaras? What does Seeker have to do to be considered a renegade Seeker? Because if they all have their own agendas and they all do whatever they want, how do you get?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to at least kill another Seeker.
I guess.
There has to be a little bit of a code.
I don't know if that's ever explained.
Yeah, I don't think we've written up a code. Well, so one of the issues with them is that I had promised Eric an article about them, you know, as early as 2003 or so. And so it was like, oh yeah, we'll do it next year. We'll do it next year. And then at some point I gave him a draft, which was unfinished, and he sent it back to me with, you know, a lot of red ink. Most of it were ideas for expansions and that sort of thing. But I never polished it off and finished it. And it's amazing, saying but not saying, how the Pathfinder Society looks a lot like the Seekers.
Yes. That is true.
Once Dragon stopped publication, I gave it to the Orth Journal, whatever I had, and Rick Miller punched it up and turned it into an article.
Some unbelievably deep discussion during that era, and once again, it makes me a little upset that I missed it all, because I just love how much development you all did on all this.
Yeah, I mean, I really hate return to products or regurgitations of old material. Okay. So at least from my standpoint, and I think Fred also had this attitude, you know, let's add as much new material to Greyhawk as we can while still respecting what's there and weaving it in carefully. And I think that was definitely my goal. So, and I picked the two areas I think had the most opportunities for that, the Sheldamar and the Great Kingdom. So hopefully we added a little more depth to those areas. But I think one of the reasons why the Seekers tend to target the Sheldamar Valley is because of the influence of the Silent Ones. The Silent Ones were never very proactive in exploring dungeons and digging through things. So they left a lot of stuff hidden and bottled up, ready to exploit. So the Seekers knew that was an area that was kind of ripe for their activity.
Yeah.
I got to read up more. I got to get that Living Greyhawk Journal #4, and I got to read that up.
It's on Drive-Thru RPG.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I got to get that. So, Chuck, thanks.
The Silent Ones, again, shouldn't be treated as villains or enemies necessarily. They can be allies. They can be neutral. It really depends on the goals of the PCs themselves.
Well, most PCs' goals is to get magic out of this. So that means they're going to hate the Silent Ones.
Yeah.
Right. But if
and
it
kill
was
whoever is in the way.
If it's a cursed or evil item that the PCs may not want to retain, they may may align themselves with the Silent Ones.
Right.
Here's my so the Seekers and the Silent Ones are against each other. Are they both technically, would they join forces against like the Scarlet Brotherhood, which I see they're both like enemies?
Well, certainly the Silent Ones would see the Scarlet Brotherhood as natural enemies. There'd be no love lost there for sure. But the Seekers, you know, it depends on the agenda. They tend to be enemies because they both want the same thing. But it's not necessarily the case.
Okay.
You could see the Belloc guy of the Seekers joining up with the Nazi-like Scarlet Brotherhood and uncovering the Ark of the Covenant-like artifact.
Oh, Eli Tomarus joins the Scarlet Brotherhood.
Oh my god!
My mind's blown.
There you go, Mike. You got a new whole campaign thread.
Now you got it exactly a new campaign.
A free agent given all these resources.
Yeah, it's a really that's why I love these discussions, because we can just come out with
whole
ideas.
Campaign ideas comes from discussions like this.
All right, who is Baron Malwig of Dilwich?
Dilwich, that sounds great. Great Kingdom.
Is he a Seeker?
Yes.
Yes. So
Dilwich,
he's the crazy one.
He's the crazy one. So he's one of the, I think, a baron in the Kingdom of Keoland.
Okay.
And while he was young, he was an adventurer, a seeker, and he seems to have discovered a secret that drove him mad. And so that is an open hook that, from what I understand,
he lives close to the swamp, right?
Yeah,
he does live close to the Rushmores.
Yep,
the Rushmores,
not the whole.
Rushmores. Yep.
Okay.
And the Rushmores, of course, is the legendary home of Vecna's old capital.
So that narrows it down.
There's a place, Draconic Imperius is the keep that or the castle that he lives in.
Ooh.
Is it on the map, Anna?
Yep.
All right, let me go. All right, let's see if I can do this again.
Yeah, just south of the.
Okay.
Oh, there you have it. It's on that. Stop there.
There you
Stop
go.
there.
I see
Yeah.
Hughes Keep.
It's on the
No
left side,
way.
western end of the map.
Draconic Imperius. There's
Yep,
Dillwich.
Dillwich. Yep.
Okay. Where's the
Barony of
keep?
Dillwich.
What's the keep name? Is it?
Draconic Imperius.
Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So there. Boom. First shot. Interesting. What's up, Daka? So, cool. So the great thing is all this stuff is on Anna's map already. All these references. Go ahead, Gary. I know you're about to say something.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea was a completely open hook for a DM to take and develop. It wasn't meant to have a specific solution, but from what I understand, Living Greyhawk did do something with that, and so if you could find that module, you might have a ready-made adventure. I'm not sure exactly what they did with it, but something to look at.
Okay. Excellent.
But he's the exact kind of guy that PCs could walk into his castle. He'll shower them with riches and send them on adventures, or he'll arrest them in the middle of the night and execute them at dawn. So he can be fun to play with.
Very, very cool. Well,
hey.
What else in relation with these organizations before we kind of move on? I'm shocked that now we know the Silent Ones found the hand and eye of Vecna. That's crazy. That is awesome. That was the big take. I mean,
if you go to Cannon Fire and look for a article called "The History of the Hand and the Eye," written by Sam Weiss.
Okay.
That is an amazing tale.
Someone link that, please, in chat.
Yeah, we collaborated on this, and the idea is that the hand and eye have reappeared in the Flannis approximately every 150 years.
Huh.
Yeah, I remember.
And every time they surface, someone has attached them to themselves and become a local menace, a tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lord of the Yahitis, who are mentioned in Vecna Lives, a Flan group that, kind of goes on some kind of insurrection against the kingdom of Keoland, and they had to be put down, and their leader is wearing the hand and eye, and of course that makes it that much more challenging. The hand and eye appear in the possession of a gnome lord, which is odd, but it could happen, right? They appear in the hands of a paladin of Foltis up in the north near the Pale, and he gets out of control. And then finally they appear in the Horn Society, the area that would become the Horn Society. A guy named Haldemar the Cruel, some kind of warlord. And he's the one who slays the Circle of Eight in the beginning of Vecna Lives. But of course, that gets retconned.
So how long ago is that in history? Meaning, I'm thinking, is it time for it to make the hand and eye to make a reappearance?
I mean, technically it wouldn't be, but there's no reason why it should succumb to the same pattern.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's here. I mean, for those who wish to assume that Vecna was a prisoner of Castle Greyhawk, it might be possible to assume that the whole plot of Vecna Lives only occurs because the God Trap fails. And so once the prisoners are released, Vecna is now free to pursue his goals, and maybe the hand and eye become far more profligate. They're suddenly used way more often by more people because of the attention the cult pays to it or whatever. So you could do whatever you want in your campaign. And plus, the suggestion also, I was reading some of the lore on this, is that the hand and eye have appeared on other worlds. So it could be that during these 150-year breaks in the Flannis, it's gone to other places, other planes of existence. So,
and I saw a lot of, oh my gosh, I hate to do this. I saw a lot of linking today. Matt Koval had an article on Vecna a couple years back, and people were saying, "Oh, look, something on Vecna," but it's not Greyhawk based. It's like general. I mean, they mention it, but it's not like Greyhawk. It's like, oh yeah, Vecna's all in all worlds now. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
I think I saw what you were talking about.
Yeah.
He essentially took the three big modules: Vecna Lives,
Die, Vecna,
Die, Vecna, Die, and Vecna Reborn, I think.
Yeah.
and just goes through the first, and is probably going to end up going through the other two. So it has some ties to Greyhawk, but not the deep ties that are in Living Greyhawk.
And it's a shame because Vecna is great. It's ours.
So
it's ours.
Puppet Dad said Vecna is not a Greyhawk character. Here's where I disagree with him. My feeling has always been that everything in the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide is implicitly in Greyhawk. It may not be explicitly in Greyhawk, but it's implicitly a Greyhawk because it was written simultaneous to the development of the campaign by Gary Gygax. So it's available to you in Greyhawk, so it's in Greyhawk.
And it's also set, there's also a lot of back history. I don't know when it's written, but David Leonard made a great summary on one of his blog posts when he went back in history and he looked at what was written. And there's a lot of awesome Vecna stories about how when he grew up, where he's born, and all that story, so to speak. So
I've never acquired it, but from what I understand, there may be even a graphic novel about it.
Yeah, it is. It's and they occasionally go on eBay for now they're over $100, $200 for a bad copy, pristine over $200. It's basically a card. It's thin. Christoph has one. He just got one about a couple months ago. So it's they're out there, and it's because it's out there in a graphic novel, whatever's in there is considered canon now, right? So, or theoretically. No, Jason Zavoda is going to argue with that and just say Vecna is a lich.
Well, that we can argue.
That's
about,
okay. Yeah, we can argue about that. But the cool thing is that the silent ones have been tied into him, which just makes the story even more cool. So and no one's being triggered here, Jason. It's okay.
But it was fun.
Yeah, definitely a fun one.
No worries.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There's worse things that could trigger. So.
Yeah, we
Go ahead, Mike.
mentioned. Yeah.
I was going to say, not to change the subject.
No, go for it.
But in chat, Nani, can't see the full name, Nani, asked if there was any secret societies involving Thuristan. And first thing that popped in my head was the Black Brotherhood. Here you have a secret society within a secret society.
Yes.
Black Brotherhood. Yeah.
All right, Mike, go for it. Talk to us about it.
That's it. I just did.
That's all there is?
I really don't know anything beyond that.
Does that? All right.
I mean, it's probably in this. Is it in the Scarlet Brotherhood?
Well, Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell us how you envision your cultists?
And a Doomsday Thuristan.
That's completely. Yeah, that's a little weird. My cultist cartoon is two. It's like a cell of two. And there are others. There's the Doom Dreamers and all that stuff, and they interact with these other cults of Thurism. Those guys are all robes. They're all heretics, Yeah.
But that's cool. I mean, you made a little bit of a,
I'm not a fan of the Black Brotherhood. I'm just saying that they're there.
Okay.
I think having the Scarlet Brotherhood have secret Thurism worshippers in it is just more of this. Thurism does it all kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
I actually prefer my Scarlet Brotherhood to be almost atheistic in a way. I know they have Sewell pantheon and stuff, but it's ruled by, it's a monk, assassin, thief organization. Nope, didn't say anything about clerics.
That's why.
I'm not a big fan of the Thor's done is all to the Scarlet Brotherhood meme either. So, I'm cool with that. To me, it's more of an evil philosophy than a religious one.
But there is like couple evil sites in that plateau where the Black Brotherhood, I'm sure, is digging around in Ziggurat of Black, I believe. And stuff like that.
To dig things up or digging to dig things into the ground.
It's probably stuff that was there before the Scarlet Brotherhood was there, and the Black Brotherhood is just this little secret society who's studying something even the Scarlet Brotherhood wouldn't want them messing with.
Oh, I would make it around the other way around. They're old secret oldman places, and that the Black Brotherhood are hijacking it to put their secret stuff in it, so they can hide it away.
Okay.
And then it can be found and be ancient or something like that. You can kind of back do the plot
So-
backwards too.
Rich, the ultimate soul purist, Longitalis. The SB is atheist. They are purely focused on the promotion of the soul's beautiful culture. Tharsden is a means to scare their opponents, but really does not fit in the ultimate goal of return to an empire. And he would know because he's the soul.
That message was brought to you by Rich, and he approved that ad.
Exactly. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Tim, I don't know which one that is. So, and I'm not going to bring up the mongrels because that's a homebrew secret society because everyone knows that they're for fun. So, wow. All right. I'm going to bring. Is it okay if I bring up one here? And this one's political. And I think it's a secret society. I could be wrong, but I think it is. And I'm going to Hardby. All right. Do you know where I'm going? I'm going to the Throne of Wood. All right. The Throne of Wood. This well-appointed walled estate. Blah blah. This is the secret gynarchy aspect of all that is womanhood in Greyhawk. The Throne of Wood. So it's a female-only organization that plots, how women can. And I have no problem with this. Please don't. That's not when I'm bringing this up. I love using the Throne of Wood in my campaign. But
so I don't think I've ever heard of this before. Where's the reference from?
Oh, Throne of Wood. Throne of Wood is in all the Hardby references. Absolutely. This is in. If we go to this. Really? I got carry on something? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've never.
Holy schmolies.
I'm not even guessing. I can't even guess what the.
Here we go. Hardby City of the Scorned reference. There you go.
To do with women.
Yes. All right. Wow, man, I feel great now. The Hardby City of the Scorned reference by Paul Luby. This is a Living Greyhawk addendum that came out, I believe, in Dungeon. It actually was in Dungeon magazine. I use this a lot with what goes on. There's different families. There's the Norbalos family, the Longlands, the Gurnish Skiers, the Jonash family. I'm missing one or two other ones. And here's the Palace of the Gynarchs. And they have a meaning. You have to be recommended from another member of the Throne of Wood to get in. A lot of our adventuring, the group that's adventuring now that you see tomorrow night, the Hardby Irregulars, I think 3 members are actually members of the Throne of Wood. So, female judges, clergy, mages, and warriors. The order has a fairly loose and informal structure. The members are bound to render what they can to other members and strive for the rights of the superior sex. Nominally devoted to Alana, the order also has many followers of Ouija and also Mayaheen. All right, and here's the notes on it. There's factions that are fighting now. The Shield Maidens are Mayaheen. The Coven of the Stern Lady is the followers of Ouija, and they support the evil Elita Norbalos, and they got a lot of politics going on in here. So we use it a lot in the background stories. Javka Gurnish Skier sent the adventuring group that we're doing now on Thursday night out and via basically a Throne of Wood mission. So there you go, Gary. A secret society that I got you on. Woohoo!
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, and like I said, I love Hardby politics and intrigue. Yeah, Ouija.
And this thing goes back centuries.
This goes back to the founding of Hardby as a gynarchy.
Okay, so that means Zagig's mom was one of these people.
Absolutely,
Nice.
Absolutely. So a brilliant one in that story plot line, and there you go. So someone else throw one out here.
I'm running.
I have a bunch,
Okay.
but I know Gary will have some.
All right, I'll just close out in the Sheldamar Valley. There's one more I want to mention called the Cult of the Black Flame.
Oh, okay.
So the reference comes from Baltrin's Beacon.
Yes.
So in that module, there's suggested that there's this really nasty cult that is worshiping sort of dark ancient powers and something unnatural, kind of Cthulhu-Hawk oriented. And the idea is that this secret society is a legacy of the ancient soul who crossed over, who didn't want to accept the rulership of the Naheli and the Rola and these good houses that crossed over, and instead wanted to go back to the old Imperium ways, but they had no path to becoming mages of power. So they discovered another path, which was discovering ways to contact these elder gods, these elder powers who were swept away eons ago and had been locked out of, our normal multiverse. Okay, sounds just like the Far Realm stuff that, they came up with in later second and third edition. And so essentially they worship these elder powers and gain some sort of, returned favor from that. And, it's a pretty nasty cult. If you look at some of the connections, there's mentions of a cult of Black Flame, I think, in the Book of Artifacts. So there's an artifact called something of the Ebon Flame. I can't remember the name. Crystal of the Ebon Flame. There's a suggestion that I've kind of tied it in so it really looks like the power, that their ultimate power may be that god called Echak or Echuk, the one that is an elder, Cthulhu-like deity that, wants to destroy all life on the world. So that's, a secret, definitely a secret society. And at some point 100 years ago, according to Baltron's Beacon, they were kidnapping children and trying to, increase the size of their cult.
Oh, look, Mike just showed that off. There it is. So
Thanks.
My question for you, Gary, is the beacon that comes up, is that a remnant of it, if I recall, in Baltron's Beacon, of one of their...
The suggestion there is that Baltron, a seeker, a mage, wanted to reproduce some of their rituals or experiments, and boom, he opened this doorway to another plane that creates the beacon. So the beacon is elemental energy leaking into our world.
Okay.
And
I have run it multiple times, and I just don't.
Yeah, it's not able to be shut off, so it's shining day and night. And I think they mentioned the name of the power he contacted.
I'll have to look.
May have been Nakimus, who may be the same power as one of the princes of evil elemental energy, one of the evil elemental materials.
Okay.
But I'll have to look it up.
So that was that tie-in done after Baltron's Beacon came out as a module, or was that done before? Because Baltron's Beacon still, even though it's one of those I series, it's still early.
It's an I series. There's strong suggestions that it could have been a Greyhawk module. I found a lot of evidence that it would fit perfectly exactly where it is.
Yeah. Okay.
It mentions marshes. It mentions the Lizard King. It mentions, a lot of elements, I think, that make it seem like it would fit perfectly there. But no, I don't think it was purpose built for that.
Okay.
It just happened to fit into the lore I was working on. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many members are of this cult of the Black Flame? Is it very small?
I would assume dozens to hundreds. It's not.
Okay.
It's not tiny.
So, so Jason, I know you're on in chat. Does this fit up right your alley in that Cthulhu Hawk mentality? I mean, it sounds like something right up your alley there. I know that's the direction your campaign goes. That would be pretty cool, actually, to put that cult in.
We'll let Jason know Sargent had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it sounds like Sargent had nothing to do with this. So you're safe.
It's a first edition leap.
Yeah, excellent. No, I love it. I love that one. Is that
so? If you're in Ghosts of Saltmarsh, this is something you could leap onto pretty easily. If you like the Dreadwood, it's something you could use a lot. There's a tower in there.
Against the Cult of the Reptile God too.
And
all
Cult
those.
of the Reptile God.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Gary, is that created 100% by you? Honestly, that one's good.
The connections are, but I like to take stuff that's there. I don't.
Okay.
Create it completely out of whole cloth.
Right. But the cult itself.
It gives it a little more authenticity when people can go back and see where the seams are in the work. Yep. So.
Fantastic. Wow. All right. So I got a whole bunch here as well. Let me think
Keep
here.
them coming.
How about the Sunseb Sodality? I say that right?
Sunzeb.
Yeah. Sunzeb.
Okay. Solidarity.
Yeah. Another. I got so many notes here.
Sounds familiar.
That's
it's right up right now.
Death Knight's article.
Yep.
Sunseb what?
sodality.
I'm going to put it back
Yeah,
up.
okay.
I'm going to slow this down.
I'm a big fan of thesauruses. So sodality is a really obscure name for a society or group. It's actually used a lot in the Catholic faith.
Dragon 291.
Or sort of like brotherhoods, like fraternities. And the idea is that it's exact opposite of that. This is not a beneficent society. This is the opposite. These are people who appreciated the creation of the Death Knights. They think it's sort of a sign from heaven that this is the, you know, these are the future rulers of the great kingdom, and they need to be supported and helped at all times. Now, it's not a huge society, but
this is dynamite. Yep.
Much like other cultists, they are very deluded into thinking that they will be rewarded for their service if they just help St. Cardoth, if they help XYZ, you know, accomplish their goals. So, you know, there's a handful of Death Knights who would have nothing to do with these people. They don't appreciate their status. They hate what they've become. But there are some that just love it. And Prince Mural, for instance, is one of them. He loves these guys because he sends them off on missions. He gets them to spy for him. You know, he gets them to assassinate members of the House of Rax, that sort of thing. So this secret society, much like Midnight Darkness, sort of works.
Oh, now I used them in Rel Devin campaign. Now I remember the name. Yeah,
yeah, I think they would fit there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's I used them. Yep.
Here it is. The Sons of Sodality, a very secretive cult of undeath, spreads its devotion among him and other Death Knights, devoid for the most part of any hierarchy or codified dogma. The chaotic cultists respect malevolence and above that only raw power. Cargoth cares little for this supplication. That's awesome. And it says North Kingdom. I know it goes on to say Benedor is the foe of these, the followers of Benedor. In this article, I believe, Gary, and that was a connection when he would before you elevated him. So
definitely,
yeah, absolutely. So that's another cool one.
So if you're sick of using IUs or Narol or Encabulos, you could go down and grab one of these creeps and make him a minor villain in some city or town on the east side of the map.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Another one that is there. So we got Astor put the ebb of the Erides sun. Is that just he's talking about during the
So their name Sun Zeb means, you know, the sun going down.
Okay.
Sun Zeb is a month in Greyhawk.
It is also one of the winter months in Greyhawk when the sun is reduced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Let's see what I got here. I got so many we haven't even touched. I'm going to talk about another one that I've used in my campaign. It's out of the Sword and Fist. How about that? I don't know if this is a secret society or not.
Now you put your mic down. No, you have it up.
Duh! Because I was drinking.
Perfect,
Sorry.
yep.
I'm gonna discuss one that I use in my own campaign here. That I don't know if you would consider these guys. They're really evil, and that is Ravagers. Okay. This is worse than the Fist of Hexter. And this is once again from that Sword and Fist reference. I've used them. I don't know how this group would ever survive because in order to join it, you have to kill another member. So how do they ever gain any members if they have to kill one? I don't understand that discussion. But the Ravagers are followers of Arithnal. They're just all about slaughter.
How do their numbers ever grow?
That's exactly it. I think it's a little bit of a misprint here. It says under there, "Your pleas for mercy only make me more angry." That's what the quote is for in there. So,
I am the founder. You must kill me to become the second member.
it doesn't make sense as far as that part of the discussion. But I'll say this: if you want to throw just slaughter and destruction amongst for no reason other than doing it, this is a great group to bring in. Now, I think they were kind of a little bit modeled after the Free Reavers in the Southeast Horn Society, but they're not the Free Reavers. This is a separate group. because those are Roughnell worshippers at all, but they're a little more controlled than this group here. The article's pretty disgusting that they like burning victims alive and doing all sorts of crazy things. But I'll say it says, "Who are the Ravagers? The question always passes the lips of surviving victims and lies uppermost in the minds of many a noble or monarch whose lands have suffered their depredations." So it's like there's what's the point of them? What's their goings on? I guess that's left for you to develop. If there is any, other than just for the love of slaughter. So there you go, and that's one. It's published, and it's in the Sword and Fist reference.
That's a good one.
It's a really.
Although, here's what I would do. I would change it so they just have to bring back the holy symbol of a good priest.
That's a good idea. Kind of like, and we'll talk about this a little maybe next week in our topic. Earth Dragon priests need to slay a good dragon and then take the skull and make that into a helm. So that's
a high price of admission.
Well, it could be a younger one, right? But yeah, that's an Earth Dragon high priest needs to do that as well. I think to get 9th level, you need to do that. So.
I'd slay a lizard man and say, I swear it's a baby dragon.
But so let the cat out of the bag. But next week, and this was Gary's idea too. Here, I'll throw this up real quick. You want to know what we're doing next week? We'll do it right now. Here we go. Evil Deities Deep Delve. Okay, that'll be next week's Legends and Lore. All right, so we're gonna go deep. We're gonna go into demons. We're gonna go into maybe some ones you're not even thinking about. Some really obscure Len ones, and that'll be a real good discussion next week. And I'll bring that back up at the end of the show too. But yeah, definitely. So there you go. The Ravagers was one. Someone else want to throw one out there? We got a whole half hour. See, time doesn't fly that fast there. Jason on that. I got a couple more.
Well, I can bring up the one I just wrote a little bit about in Orthodox Journal 34.
Let's do it.
Okay, so back in '83, when I first read Scott Benny's article about the Saints, he had this throwaway reference about a hero who was of the White Guard. And I said, the White Guard? Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a personal title. When you're Haynard of the White Guard, you're not the White Guard isn't singular. It's a group. So my idea was this is sort of like, this is a really top tier secret group. This is like heroes that come when the danger is really high. They're not there just to save you from a Sararak and Tomb of Horrors. They're here because the Earth is at danger. And one of the times they arrive is to come and defeat St. Kargoth and end up causing him to lose his blade, his beloved blade. So I have basically a small group of them now detailed, including this Haynard guy, Saint Benedor, the Good Lich that we wrote about in OJ 33. Maya Hain is being considered. So it's a small, and you could see the PCs being sent off on missions with them or by them, or interacting with them. The idea is they mostly work solo. You don't want to have one of those scenes from like Super Friends or whatever, with Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman all going at you. But it's this opportunity, I think, to have this good organization as a counter to all the evil that the Flannis already has.
So two things on that. So Gary and I are going to work on, in October, we will have a Legends and Lore on the Death Knights finally. Okay. So we're going to work on that. Well, we don't know the date yet, but we're going to set that up, and we're going to go through all these Death Knights and all the Bane against the Death Knights. That'll be down the road in a few weeks. Number two, so Gary, when that Scott Benny article came out, what, 85, 86, around that time?
I think 83. It was pretty early on,
I, in the late 80s, actually had an adventure where Kargoth was fighting and Haynard showed up. So, and I made him up from scratch. So, because of that one line reference too. That was a huge fight, and it was actually in the Shieldlands that fight took place. You know, it was just fighting. You know, things happen. So just to let you know that I respected the hell out of that article too. That's got many articles. That set the basis for all.
The name has always sounded.
I'm sorry, Anna. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Anna.
Which dragon was the article in?
83
yeah,
or 79. Sorry, 79.
Yeah, it's about saints. It's a saints article.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Saint Elidor, Saint Kargath, Saint Bane, Saint what's the fourth one? There's 4 in there.
Eliador.
Yeah, Kargath, Bane, and there's one other one. Yeah, there's 4 in
and
there.
Saint Cyril.
Saint Cyril, yes, that's it. So there you go.
The patron of the Pale.
Yep. So Rich says the White Guard could be followers of Crovis. Is that a possibility?
I mean, I'd flip it around and say Crovis could be a member.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I don't think any of them follow anyone in the traditional sense. They're all free agents.
Oh, and we're going to see descriptions about them in this Art Journal article coming out, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is another teaser. I will show teasers because I love teasers. To that, this is Gary's character for Virtual Greyhawk Con, a specialty priest of, if you see in there, of Saint Benedor. Okay? To tie in with the article, there you go. So, ta-da! All written up and approved by Gary himself. So there you go.
Jay makes a nice character sheet.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate it. So, Mike's played in the game, Anna's played in the game, so we are going to have some fun with that, and it's going to be interesting to see that character going up against Eric Mona's priest of Ralishez and whatever happens there. So that'll be a blast.
Oh, that's a good one, Jason. Keepers of the Flam.
Yeah.
It's in Living Greyhawk Journal 0. So I know nothing about it. Gary, you got a little information on that?
Yeah, it's kind of an organization of which Nystol is a member. So the idea is that these are people who never accepted the Great Kingdom's rule or Aurdi control over them. Most of them are based in around the 10 area. So if you kind of think of it as a continuum, the northernmost Flan, the Rovers, were the most sort of wild and free-spirited, and then as you went south, they had more civilization, more and more civilization, and so the Bandit Kingdoms kind of like is what resulted from their old civilization being kind of chopped up into these little realms. But the Flan like to say that they had this high culture once, this high point where they, really were an advanced society, and maybe Tostenka, aka Skrellingshald, is sort of the legacy of that, one of the legacies of that. So yeah, this society is kind of dedicated to keeping the old lore of the Flan alive. So you could tie that into bards, you could tie that into the Hierophants of the Cabal, other druidic things. Yeah.
Very cool. So Bossluck asks, would the Jade Masks be a secret society or just a spy network?
I mean, it's almost like a distinction without a difference. I think a lot of these things
true.
Are secret societies, even if we don't call them that. I mean, if your purpose is hidden, you're a secret society. If your membership is hidden, you're a secret society. That's why I consider the Horn Society a secret society, because even though people in the Flannis knew that they took over one of the bandit kingdoms, we never really had much idea of what their motivations were. And once EU's decapitated them, supposedly, we never got to find out. But now, as we wrote in the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer, it suggested that they knew that was coming as soon as he was released in 570. They knew that their time in Molag was limited, so they already started to spread out and become a more diffuse
secret society.
Yeah, exactly. More secret society.
Excellent. So I'm going to go. I want to give this article due. I don't know if Gary, if you've ever read it, and I showed it earlier. Hidden Agendas by Andy Miller in Dragon 256. He's got a whole bunch of organizations here. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with. I want to give it its due because I went through it and
Been forever.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty good. You have. Let me just get to it here. Here's hard.
Yeah, I remember going through it once.
Boom, 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 boom. All right, and then we can go over each one here. It should be right there. All right, the Society of the Serpent. The sole purpose of the Society of the Serpent is the acquisition and safekeeping of magical knowledge. That sounds like the Seekers almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
It says founded 4,600 years ago.
4,600.
Maybe that's just him doing the yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a year when you actually had serpent men walking around the Flannis in charge.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Negative 4,000.
So this sounds a lot like it's parallel Seekers, or it really does. With the fall of the Soul Empire and the Chaos Fall, the common folks' view of magic change. It sounds like a mage of any alignment may join the Society of the Serpent. Membership is by invitation only. It does not consider good or evil as a motivating force. It sounds almost like the Seekers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does. All right, a Crescent League is promotes the craft and strategy of tactics. This was a front, it turns out, for the Scarlet Brotherhood in the Wild Coast, and that's according to the article. And they were in Fax in 584. So that was. These are all in that area. This one sounds like almost like the one we just talked about. The Fraternus Mobilis, destroy all magical items and kill all mages. It's a barbarian. It's a barbarian group. Yeah. Very.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's another one. It's a young brotherhood, and it says Karisk Mountains is the headquarters. Interesting. Tellus V Turu Dakata, and that one is a group to fight evil. Keepers of the Crowns and Moons. It's in Volandi. That's what it means. So it's from Voluna. They were founded actually in Furandi in 491. It says a knightly.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
That would be at the beginning of the Hateful Wars, when Selene was wild with bloodlust. There was definitely need of heroes.
Yeah, it sounds, and a lot of these maybe because of this article, limited to this article only, but it seems like be very detailed. And the last one's the Azure Masks, and this one is entertainers that are information gatherers, and their headquarters is Iron Gate.
Ooh.
So the headquarters for the Azure Masks is the free city of Iron Gate. And they're all trained as performers, but they are to gather information, and they may be thieves or other classes. Really, in reality, spying.
Well, I mean, that city-state has been under siege for years.
Yeah,
and they definitely need a spy network, so that makes sense.
Yeah, so they're pretty cool in that article. Once again, I said it's Dragon 256. You want to check that out for all these hidden agendas. Maybe they come up and give you an idea or two. Has there been an article on illicit drugs at Greyhawk? Something that secret societies would utilize as an income. I have one, but it's not Greyhawk based, but I put it in Greyhawk. And okay, I'm going to go to, if I can find it, I'm going to pop it up on let me see if I can find it real quick, and I'm going to show you the reference it's in. This illicit drug is called Higdine. Return. I'm gonna have to just type it in and see if I can find the cover for it. Let me see if I can locate it. All right. Let me see if I can pull this over. I can't do it.
Retard mine.
All right, it's in. Oh, I did it twice. Return to Durbanford. It's in this reference. It's Sword and Sorcery. I put this in the Grand March actually. Durbanford. I think Anna put it on the map for me in my campaign. The trouble at Durbanford campaign, and it's D20, but I converted it back, of course, has a huge drug called Higdine in it. It's highly, highly addictive. In fact, one of Walt's characters, there's a whole cult behind it, that drug, in this adventure, and they place you in a box, like a chest. and they leave you in there. And if you don't go insane, you get to join the group. So yeah, and it's really crazy. And while you're on Higdeen, yeah. So there you go. That's one I know that has an illicit drug in it that I placed in Greyhawk. So
Mike, are there any secret societies in Ool or the Sea Princes?
Yeah.
Talk about them.
There might also be some drugs there. It's stuff that I created, of course. Nothing official.
Right.
If you want to talk about homebrew stuff?
Love
Mike
it.
Cannon.
That's awesome.
So, in all is a group called the Yellow Cartel.
Mm-hmm.
It's a secret group that they may be native of all, they may not. They're just using all because it has. They're cultivating the poppies that are there. They are drug lords that work.
Very Afghanistan.
Yeah, and they hire the local warlords to protect their stuff, and then they distribute it to the rest of the Flannis through trade networks and magical means.
And so, Mike, it's your birthday?
It was a couple days ago.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thanks, Casey. The drug in question from my articles is called Hulzil, which is pretty much opium.
Mm. And I imagine that goes all around the Baklunish states.
Yeah, it's predominantly there, and I allude that it's spreading east.
So I have a question for you, Mike. Is our friend that they're going to see in Virtual Greyhawk Con addicted to this Hulzil?
Could be.
Because it's a little crazy. All right, I like that idea.
The effects are off the top of my head.
But that's a connection right into all, and that's why I'm going to probably do that. Thank you. See, look at that. Neat connection.
But it's definitely a currency thing. It's something that in all, which is a very poor nation, that is a big haul if you're knocking over a caravan and you get, a chest of drugs. That's a big haul and all.
It's some dumb Eastern PCs saying, we didn't find any gold. All we found was this dust.
Right. Thanks, guys.
And in gold, they will pay you 10 times more than gold.
So Seeker really, really wants to talk about the Splintered Mind. Dragon Magazine 281. Okay. It's a secret society within the Scarlet Brotherhood of, I think, Scions. It's like a rebel monk organization with some psionic component. Pretty cool. I don't think I ever used them, but that's definitely a good one.
Okay.
Scarlet Brotherhood is so big, as for being a secret organization, that they have all these Black Brotherhood, Splintered Mind, they faction up quite a bit.
Yeah, what's the population of that kingdom on the Tilvano? I can't remember,
I think it's unknown.
It's still unknown, even after Sean's book.
You wrote the book about it,
so
you should know.
No, but I didn't write Scarlet Brotherhood, Sean's book. I can't remember.
We'll see
what he said there, but if it's a kingdom of a couple 100,000 people, you'd expect it to have a lot of societies.
Well, I'm sure it's
Interesting.
But if I remember right, the Splintered Mind, I don't think they necessarily operate within the Scarlet Brotherhood. I think they're more out there, for players to become part of this organization. They're more like out there foiling the, plans of the Scarlet Brotherhood.
Interesting. Huh. Okay. So we still have a few minutes. We got any others?
I got one just for Asher.
Good, yeah.
It's called. They're a group called the Dwomer Masters.
Yes,
so
I missed those.
They are a organization in Relastra, a part of the map people don't use very often, and they're essentially a mysterious group of wizards. We really don't know, who the composition of the society is or who leads them. But it's suggested that they are manipulating events from behind the scenes. So they may be either attempting to topple the throne and become in charge of the Great Kingdom, or maybe their scope is smaller and just beginning with Relastra. But the idea is that they are an organization that the PCs may encounter if they become, involved in the politics of Relastra.
Are they? Thank you, Mark. Oh, Canadian with a gift. There you go. Thank you, Canadian.
I'm just going to say that Living Greyhawk guest here lists the population of Scarlet Brotherhoods in tens of thousands.
That makes
Which
sense.
is small.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big as Croterlep, that city must be at least 10,000 just by itself.
That's what I think. I made it a big city, I think. So, yeah.
I mean, it's their only sort of open port to the world now. But
I made it even Hesuel Ilsa, the metropolis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the plateau and a lot of the terrain is very unforgiving, and so they don't have a lot of other cities. But
they have a couple of cities.
Yeah, they don't count the non-Sewell on the census.
But then again, if you still assume that the writer of the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer is a biased Oridian author, there could be complete, lack of knowledge about the true numbers of that.
That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm looking to see. I think we got through most of the ones. There's sub organizations of the Knights of the Watch, right? And there's sub organizations of the even the Knights Protectorate there that you could consider secret organizations. I'm assuming in both, right? Because you got the Dispatch and the Knights of the Watch, correct?
Dark Watch too.
I'm sorry, Mike. What was that?
Dark Watch.
The Dark Watch too. Yes, you have Dispatch and the Dark Watch inside of.
And there's one other. Hang on a second. There's one other.
Dispatch and Dark Watch, and then the Protectorate itself. I mean, I don't even know where to start on that. I know we got some of that discussed in last week.
When I asked the crew over at Cannon Fire if they had any more last night, Jason started pumping out name after name after name. I mean, he was only up to the B's or the C's. He had already come up. He had already come up with like a dozen that I didn't even think of.
There are no secrets to Jason.
So I'm sure that we've missed as many as we've hit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Yep.
I could really only name the ones that I've actually used in campaigns. Half of these that we've talked about, I've vaguely heard of, but never used.
Some I used, I forgot about the name, like the Sunseb Sodality. I forgot about that. The name Sunseb Sodality. But there's a Hands of Light. There's another offshoot of the Knights Watch.
Knights of the Watch. So that's three. Yeah. That's three. And then you actually have what Jose Ortiz has, the long arms. So he's got that in his Inquisitor that you'll see Saturday night is the long arm, which is kind of enforcers and diplomats and things like that, but they're kind of secretive to the king of Geoff. So that's pretty neat too. In my campaign, go ahead.
Oh yeah, Canadian Gamer just asked the question in chat. I imagine there are. I don't know in canon of a name, but there probably are secret societies of knowledge in the city of Greyhawk.
Well, you have the librarian in there, Jawal. You have the Dark Elf librarian, Jawal Severnine. Is that his name? Or one of them is a Dark Elf, and he hasn't come out of the library in 100 years. He's not come out of the building. I know that it's in the Free City Greyhawk box set, and so I would say you're pretty good on that. And a matter of fact, the mission on Saturday night is going to connect something out of the library that they have. So the ironies there on that question asked. So here we go. Listen, Josh is starting. Lizardred the Mad. Oh my gosh. So probably Vecnus folks and the Seekers. Yeah, we got. Yep, absolutely. Silent Ones are librarians. I don't know about that. I don't think they are. Silent Ones are not the librarians, right, Gary and Keelhan? That's not their thing.
Not really.
Yeah. So good question on that.
Unless it's magic.
Yeah, magical books, of course. So if they're stuck in the tower. No, the one one in Greyhawk, and he's a Dark Elf, just doesn't come out. And
cool little hook for the Silent Ones is they love destroying other mages' spell books.
Really?
Especially if they contain uniquely developed spells, like the name spells.
Oh.
Wow. So I got to remember that because I have the Greyhawk Mage class, which is based on named spells.
Okay.
Right? Because they have to take a discipline in one of the circles, one of the spell casters that has a lot of spells. So neat. I got to remember that. That's a good connection. Greyhawk Mage, because I have a Greyhawk Mage in my one group. Silent ones. All right, I got to remember that. And that'll drive Alan crazy too, so that's even worth it. If everyone knows my player, Alan, who I can frustrate him a lot sometimes. So, cool. Very cool. All right, so we're at 5 of. Look at that. Got through a lot of these. And ones I never heard of, which is fantastic.
There's been so much awesome stuff, so I'm just listening and taking notes.
Oh, no, it's great. I mean, some big revelations.
The horned ones, but I have some cool theories on that. We can save that for my campaign.
Yes.
Too, so,
big, and I've been scrolling through some of the major events. I've put them up here on Greyhawk Con, so let me start it back up at the top here. Just because some things that we want to highlight. If you haven't, well, we'll do that during announcements. So anyone else with any final discussion or questions on our topic tonight? I know we got through a fair amount, and we don't have to do a second show like a lot of them.
I think another secret group that is worth mentioning in the context of Greyhawk for sure is this concept of the balance. We know that there's some sort of society out there. We really don't know. I mean, we've learned some in Gygax's novels, but we really don't know how they work, how they interact, who can become a member. But somewhere out there are people concerned with the balance.
Led by Mordenkainen?
And Mordenkainen seems to be the mortal that's most connected to to this. Yeah,
it makes total sense. And that still is the theory behind why Rari went after Autoluke and Tensor, correct? Had something to do with that?
I mean, you could argue, yeah.
Okay. Maybe do a show sometime on medicines and drugs and such. There's a lot of things we could do on commerce. We could do a show on commerce to include that.
It's very fun.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah. There's a lot of awesome. The Cabal, the Old Faith, we went through the old. Anna went through the Old Faith, absolutely, and I agree there because the old, the Old Faith.
Yeah, I see them as a secret organization, but and it's splintered up in many groups too. It's
between Obadiah and
fairly loosely connected, and it's more cultural than a pure organization, so to speak.
Josh just asked the question. Did we talk about the Secret Society of Vampire Princes of Furyandi? I knew it would come up once.
Well, he didn't you read back that he had a Thrummel or there was something like it was when it was when you said something earlier. I can't scroll back that far, but it was someone made an awesome comment that I left so much when I saw. That was so much fun.
2 Banes tonight. We covered both Robert Wardall video and for Prince and Vampire Thrummel. We hit both. We hit them both every show. It doesn't matter who's on. So
it was Thrummel's the vampires that are the just the offshoot of the main one, so to speak. You have a real vampire, and then you have the whatever they called it. I forgot the word.
So if we do cuisines, Mark, I'll throw in all of my alcoholic names.
Oh, we
for
have to
all
have that. That will
the
be
cool,
fun. Yes,
different types of drink we have.
Yes, exactly. Thralls of Thrummel. That was the one. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Asher.
Unbelievable. All righty. So, what we got in shout outs tonight and what's going on? Mike, what's going on?
What's going on? I got nothing. I haven't posted on Greyhawk in almost a week. I'm gonna probably do a shout out about the Cannon Fire Touring the Flamis project.
Awesome.
I'm gonna do that.
Other
than that,
you link Greyhawk Reborn. That was nice. I saw the relink on Greyhawk Reborn. That was nice.
Gotta give them some props. I have finished an article for Orth Journal, but it didn't make the cut for the current issue.
Okay.
I guess, hopefully be in the next one. And this one actually touched on a lot of stuff we were talking about. It's kind of builds off of the Seekers article.
Cool.
With Octavius Marius and all that.
Nice.
Cool.
For people to see that.
Did it not make the time? did it just, or because Gary was Gary bumped it?
It was one of them projects where I had an idea, started messing with it, and then it just started snowballing, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm never gonna get this done now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Yeah. It's for the next one. So, Mike, I wanted to ask you if you can get a Sunday free coming up down the road for this. Gary, I know I'm asking a lot of you for Virtual Greyhawk Con, but the week after we have Autumn Revel. That's Luke's con. And during Gavin, we're going to do the World of Greyhawk and the vibrant virtual community. And I want bloggers. So, you know, Mike, I'm going to get one other one too to represent that. So I have Leonard and Anna on the list. Casey Brown is going to cover the living Greyhawk aspect end of it because he does such a good job with it. And then I'm trying to get the Cannon Fire person and the Greyhawk Online person in as well with Anna and me. So there you go. And the bloggers, Mike, and maybe one or two other streamers. So for this one, it'll be a special Gavin, and that's after all the other good stuff going on. But I want to impress the hell out of the Luke crowd for this, for how Greyhawk has really made a comeback. So there you go. So right. Mike, there, just to keep that in mind. Good. It's Canadian with another. Thanks, Canadian. So that's it, Mike. No, that's it.
Yeah.
No games going on.
Well. You're talking about Sunday. I was trying to start a barbarian campaign, but I'm thinking my friends are getting a little restless and want to do something else. So I don't know what my Sundays are going to be like.
Oh man, something else like a different game beyond D&D?
No. If I'm running, it's going to be D&D, and I don't think any of the rest of them are going to want to run it. It's just right now it's still difficult with COVID to get my friends together. We don't play online, so we'll see. I don't know.
Okay, well, keep that one in mind. If you can make that, just let me know, because we'd love to have you on that one, because it's going to be a showcase of everything going on in the world of Greyhawk and our community. For a different crowd, hopefully, than just our base Greyhawk virtual community. So, Anna, what's going on?
I've been babbling about the Atlas forever, and now it's finally starting to come together. I had finished the index earlier this week, so and it's on my patrons. Have a look at it, but the post is open, so you can go to my patron and you can download and you can get the link, and the link is on my website. So take a peek in there, and you will the link is on my website on the under the Greyhawk content on annabmeyer.com. If you go to under the Greyhawk menu, there is a Greyhawk content, and it's listed Atlas Dropbox folder, and you can click on that, and then you get all the latest content. And nice. So the index is done, and it is 28 pages. 2 columns, 28 pages, and each page is 11 by 17, and it's 10 points. So it's thousands of names, and thanks to Dwayne Costa, that have done an amazing job putting all this together. You realize he has been sitting with all these 50 bits and looking at each of them, put everything that is written on them down in Excel spreadsheets, and then ran the scripts on them, and then I got all that, and then he put it all together, and we double checked it for so we don't have any double entries and stuff. And then we have added a lot of stuff, so you can find things like the Duchy of Ernst, for instance. You can find it under D, T, and U. So depending on so we've added this, and therefore that's why it added a lot of things. Some things, a lot of things are only found under one name, but a lot of it is found at 2 places, some of it even found in 3 places, depending on what you search for. So all the terms that we think someone might search for, it's there, so to speak, and references. So that's, so there's thousands and thousands of names. And that one is also available without any of the extras as an Excel spreadsheet. You can download it there too. And then I've done a first test on the index, or the the legend, and it's not in there because it's not final yet. So I just had presented it yesterday for my patrons, but it's an open post, so you can just go to my patron, and you can. Oh, thank you, Lexfire.
It's George.
Yeah, Lexfire 20. Okay, yep. So thank you. It's awesome. So that way, yeah. So the legend is there, and it might be a little bit tweaked before it's done, but it's almost done. And I have the credits page almost done. And now what's left to do is the covers. And I have some of the covers already done. So it's almost done. So it's actually a project that is on time and on budget, so to speak. So that's good. So it's actually getting there on time. So it will be ready for at least all the apart from the appendices. The appendix 1 will be a list of, well, heraldry and a module list. And also we have one extra compendium I can spill the beans they're working on in the dragon layers of Greyhawk as well. That's another one we want to kind of just have fun doing it, add another one. So I'm not really sure that all the appendixes will be done for Virtual Greyhawk, but at least all the main atlas will be done. So that will be well over 100 pages, 50, yeah, 75, 80, about 90 pages or so. And then 11 by 17. And then the appendixes and stuff, I bet heraldry is probably another 10, 12, 15, maybe even 20, depending on how large you make the shields. And then we have but the first one will be the modules, where the module locations are. And I don't know exactly how we will do it. I've done some ideas and some tests and stuff. So that will be something I will be work on next week. So to see if I can get that done too. So yep.
Awesome stuff, and we're approaching, fast approaching.
Yep. So that is a big one. I thought, well, okay, I can just put together something a little bit, but this has been a 6 months project to get it done. But it's one of these milestone projects, and to me, it doesn't feel that new in a way, because it's just the same old map, but it's a new format, and I think it's very useful format, because it will come so you can use it on your computer or iPad or stuff. It's JPEG, so each spread will be one JPEG. And then it will come in PDF form for print. So each page will be one high quality PDF, one with bleed and stuff. So if you go to a print shop that prints with extra bleed and then cut the pages into a format, you can use the one with bleed, or there's one version with no bleed if you just want to print it out on 11 by 17 on your inkjet or color lace printer at home.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that will be, that's the big one, so to speak. But I'm also working on the stuff for the virtual Greyhawk. So I'm working on my big campaign map. It's that one, you have to realize that one is a living document, so it's never finished, never will be. So, but I'm making sure that some of the areas that look kind of very crappy, I'm kind of cleaning them up a little bit for the public version. So there will be less loose ends and things, and I'm naming some of the stuff that weren't named before. And I'm also going to write a lot of kind of talking points and stuff, so I know a little bit more what I'm talking about. And also the Shieldlands map that I will use for my own game, that I hope that I will start in October for my new Shieldlands campaign. That map is starting to come together too. I've rendered some areas, and it will be kind of a really cool looking map, and it will set the new standard with 5 feet per pixel. Standard for maps, so you can basically see almost every tree on the map, and it's kind of cool that one was set a new standard. But the other thing, that is also a new kind of black hole of interesting work, because I realized that once I start mapping in earnest and make that into the future standard, I have to develop a whole new set and revise my symbols and a whole bunch of that stuff. So that is a major project for next spring, is to start setting a new standard and laying the groundwork for like generation 2 Greyhawk maps, because they will come in 2 scales. They will come in one local scale where you can see houses and streets and trails and stuff like that, and then the symbology for that, and then revise so it works with the current large, like, campaign size, whole kingdom size, the current size map, so to speak, or scale map, where you have cities and towns and stuff like that. So I have to have 2 sets of symbol, one for close in and one for the more kind of satellites scale that we have now. So that means, and I want them to match style wise and stuff. And I also want to have a 3rd set of symbols developed for the player maps, the player handout maps, that will be kind of what a cartographer in Greyhawk what kind of cool icons and stuff would use. So that's a third style of icons. So that's one of the main. I've thought a lot about it, and I have some ideas and style ideas and stuff like that I'm working with. But that is a big project for spring, and also to do the Lindor Isles and Ratik is up for next year, because now I'm actually nailing down how I'm going to go about creating the new generation of maps, so to speak. My big problem is that the tool sets I'm in generation shift between the tools that I've used for 10 years and the new tools coming in. The new tools aren't really production ready yet, but I can use certain features, so it's a little bit back and forth. And I also have to make sure that what I'm creating using these existing tools can actually be incorporated with new data in the future, and it needs to be secured so it can be used on PDFs, screens, printed on paper, and used in game engines and GIS and all that. And that it's taken 4 or 5 years to figure that out.
Oh my gosh.
But now I'm starting to get there. So starting next year, it will be mapping the Flannies all over again, so to speak. And Lindor Isles and Ratik will be the first kind of public ones. My Shieldlands map is I'm not sure it will actually be good enough to be incorporated. I hope so. But it's just like when I started mapping 20 years ago, this is kind of a new endeavor with a new standard. So we'll see. When it's done, I'll see if it's good enough. And if it's good enough, that will be part of the new map. Otherwise, I will probably revise it and do it all over again just to make it even good enough, because I want the new standard. Yeah, I want the new standard to be good enough that it will be a set a new standard I can live with, and we can live with, and creates it for the future, so to speak. That's the idea. Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. And also, I have one other thing. Nightheart Gaming tomorrow will have I will be in a game session with where I will play. Now I forgot the name. I will have snake hair. Hang on.
Medusa.
Medusa. Thank you. Yep. Thank you. I forgot the word. Yeah. So I will play Medusa again, and it will be the second session. We actually had a first pilot session like a month ago, and then there were certain issues that got in between. But now we're going to start in earnest tomorrow. So that will be on the Nightheart Gaming's channel.
Shoutouts died. Shoutouts aren't working for me.
Uh-oh.
I tried shouting them out. It didn't work. Gary, what's up?
A lot.
Feels good to be busy, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's, it has no hourly wage.
Understood.
So I guess I've got 2 tracks going. One, I would say, is the Cannon Fire track as the webmaster of Cannon Fire. I don't know if people still use that term, but been developing some new features, and for that we must thank Rich, aka Longitalos, in the chat, who has been organizing a project called the Tour of the Flannis, where he's basically writing these short 1-page, less than a page descriptions for the various realms of the Flannis and how you could use them in a campaign, particularly aimed towards new DMs who might not be familiar with the campaign. So if you say, I really want to run something in a pirate realm, something that would immediately evoke that kind of feeling, you would read Sea Princes and you would say, oh wow, that fits me perfectly. Or this is something I could take and customize to my campaign. So one idea I had was, is there a way that we could present this material? Because we had been collecting it in the forums for many weeks, and that's just not going to be a quick and easy way to discover things. So one of the things we programmed last weekend was this interactive map. So Anna has her atlas. This is a poor boy's version of it, but an interactive
it looks
version.
Cool. It looks awesome. Yeah.
So what it is all these 67 or 68 realms that we have now, and links so that you can locate them on the map and get this small description. So if you click on the name, you'll get the small description. If you were looking for something in a particular area, you could click on the link we've left on the map and still get the same description. So, it's a new tool, and I think we're going to put it to a lot of use in a lot of different ways. One idea that we immediately had is that we're going to try to link every article in Cannon Fire to one of those realms.
Wow.
One or more of those
Ooh,
realms.
that is awesome. Yeah.
So that not only will you get this short write-up, you will get every write-up. If you click on Uhl, you will get Mike's
Fantastic.
canon.
Yeah.
You will get all of it. So we're going
That's
to, I'm
nuts.
going to attempt to do this programmatically, because there's more than 1,000 articles on Canon Fire, and curating every single one is going to be a lot of work. But if I just hit the keywords and say, does this article contain the word Uhl? I'm going to throw it into Uhl and just see how that goes first as a first cut. I may say I need the word Uhl 5 times before I put it in that area. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be an experiment.
I like this idea because I really feel a lot of the Canon Fire stuff's buried.
Oh,
yes,
yeah, exactly. It's so hard to find it. There's like it's a treasure trove, but it's
and
damn hard to find
the
it.
search tool isn't very good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really hit or miss, and it doesn't seem to prioritize versus how many times a topic is referenced in a particular article. So you might not get more stuff, Mike's stuff at the top. You know, you might get it buried in a list of 20. So I think we'll definitely work on that and make it a more useful tool.
Fantastic.
But you know that there's other ways of viewing the planet. So you know, we're thinking maybe we're going to put, you know, alignment maps like the old 83 guide. Maybe we'll do resources maps, racial maps, language maps, so that
spread
DMs.
Maps. I love spread maps.
I love spread maps too. Maybe we can find a way to do something in HTML that has the effect of a spread map.
Well, we can. I have it layered, so in PSD.
Okay.
So do layered PNGs with transparency. Yeah.
So maybe I could alpha blend a layer on the top.
Yeah.
Of the map, and we can bring it on and take it off as we need it. So
yeah, but if you have Photoshop, you can just create them and save each layer as a PNG with transparency and name it, and then you can code it. Yeah.
So other ideas I've had are to create maybe filters so that users on Canon Fire can maybe say one or more realms that they're associated with or that they love, so that you can essentially create de facto groups of fans who are associated with the same kind of area, who like the same kind of stuff, and maybe you know, highlight that stuff whenever it appears as new material or as new forum topics. So let's say it's almost like Mort saying, you know, or Mike saying, whenever, I'm sorry, I always call you by your old name. Whenever Mike, you know, wants to know something about Uhl, if someone creates a forum topic or a reply or a new article, it will tell him, hey, guess what? Someone just mentioned Uhl.
Someone mentioned
Uhl. That's cool.
Yeah.
So that's one side of the ledger. The other side of the ledger is my own work. And of course, I am constantly looking for new projects to avoid doing Spine Castle. So in that vein,
I love that attitude. Yep, that's the way to do it.
I discovered that there is a bunch of people who really would like to see a map of Gradsel, the largest city in.
Oh my God! It was like crazy on the chat, Gary. It was like,
I know. To see it.
Ornier's like, where's Gradsel?
Yeah.
Go to Mike's blog and look up an article called something like Unmapped Cities, the best unmapped cities. Yeah. And read through that, and you will get a really good overview of what are like the hottest or the best cities to map that are not mapped yet. Now, there are cities that are mapped which are poorly mapped, and maybe someone can go back.
It's
someday.
a wish list.
Yeah, I mean, Fata Vistas had some really bad maps, so we have to check those out. But near the top of the list is Gradsel, which is, you know, nearly 50,000 people. So it places it just below the city of Greyhawk and Relastra as one of the biggest cities in the entire continent.
Plus, there's a fleet there, isn't there? An entire Kiwish fleet.
Yeah,
there's a fleet there. It's a capital of a region of Keoland. It's right on the Azure Sea, where all the action is happening these days with the Sea Princes and the Scarlet Brotherhood. So it's a huge adventure locale. If you had a map of that, you could definitely come up with a lot of campaign material in order to build a campaign around it. So, yeah, so maybe that will be the next. So I've now worked on 3 Orth Journal articles in a row set in the Great Kingdom. I think I'm going to go back to the other side of the map and work a little bit on some of the other stuff and see how that turns out.
Awesome.
Sweet.
So, Dracos, I'm gonna answer a question for you shortly here. All right. What is going on? A lot, right? So tomorrow night we finish. Not, and this isn't sitting. This is adventure number 889. Okay, one day I'll get to 1,000. We figure in about 5 years. Orders Within the Chaos, the legendary and hated universally Michael Baton was assassinated by the Divers Assassins Guild last week, and they took his head and fled. But he left a message for them, and now they're trying to figure out what's going on at Cliff Face Point. And there's this group that calls themselves the Lords of the Wild Coast inhabiting it right now with a bunch of flunkies from old PCs from players who played 25 years ago. So it's kind of fun. Tomorrow night, I'm going to show you something new from our great sponsor, Stratagem Wiz Dice. New Titan dice sets. We'll be giving these away. One for subs, one for general signups. The colors. I did not name these, please, like Glenn said. Sparkle Vomit. Okay? It's one color, and Stardust is the other color. And these are the big mamas you get. Now, note that my other 3 colors I have, I fumble with them like crazy, but maybe these will be bring a little better luck. So tomorrow night we'll be giving these away, courtesy of Stratagem, and that will be one of 2 games this week. 4 streams counting tonight and 5 nights. Next, after that, Saturday night, the Living Greyhawk All-Stars, G-Off Style. Eric Menji, hopefully, Shalom West, Rob Cannerman, Anna Meyer, David Quick, Jose Ortiz, Casey Brown. A new adventuring group with a bunch of XG offers there. It's going to be an interesting adventure. It's called The Wizard's Mark is the name of the adventure. It starts in Greyhawk City. Always these Living Greyhawk group people are awesome to play with. It's an honor to DM for them. That is Saturday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. We usually start that a little earlier. Get your villain points ready, according to Just Pop. Yes. Uh-oh. Alrighty. Sunday night, another massive, massive interview. We had Luke Gygax last week. This week we have James Jacobs, the creative mind behind a lot that went on, what, for 15 years, Gary?
Well, 7.
Okay.
Sorry to blow
no, it's okay. I mean,
but essentially, everything between the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer and the end of the campaign in 2007 or 8, he was involved with. So if you want to know more about how the adventure paths were crafted, he was in the middle of all that. Yeah. The Savage Tide was essentially his baby. So everything about Savage Tide is going to be an open topic. He was one of the crafters of Expedition to the Ruins of Castle Greyhawk. So if you have questions on that, he did more of the design work than our last guest, Jason Bullman. So
yes,
that should be, a huge topic for us to cover.
Absolutely. Plus,
of course,
go ahead.
He also edited and published a lot of the modules in that era. So in Dungeon Magazine, so he knows a lot about the Fiend's Embrace and all those other cool mods that came in on that era.
I love Fiend's Embrace. Love it. Absolutely. Definitely a good one.
The Estivan trilogy.
Yeah, I got to bring that one up. Definitely. So great discussion with James, and this will be it'll go from Jason Bullman, Luke Gygax, James Jacobs, 3 in a row. I mean, it's just amazing stuff. I already brought this up, but we'll do this again next week. Evil Deities Deep Delve, okay, and that'll be Legends of the Lore next week. And then the Legends of the Lore after that, the week after, is Rotic and Nyron and Rotic, did you say? Or so we have a Living Greyhawk the week after that. So we're set through Virtual Greyhawk Con for Legends and Lores. Cool. Alrighty. The week after for Gavin is our 6th ever DMs roundtable where we have, and this got rescheduled from when Luke said he can come that Sunday. Dave Guerreri, Jay Stupinski, John Lent from Greyhawk Reborn, Amy Crittenden and Renee Ayala, 2 Virtual Greyhawk Con DMs, and William Henry Dvorak, who's been on all 5 shows, so we got to keep him on 6. And I imagine Anna will be joining me as well to hang out here, and we're going to talk. It's going to be a Greyhawk roundtable. We're going to get some background on these great DMs that are going to be DMing for everyone during Greyhawk Con. So that'll be right the week before Virtual Greyhawk Con starts. All right, some highlighted events on this channel. I'm going to toot my own horn, sorry, but I have to. Friday night, Anna Meyer's campaign is on. This is all Virtual Greyhawk Con, Friday, October 2nd, 7 p.m. Okay? Big thing. Anna talked about it. I am excited.
You cannot miss that, people.
Cannot miss. Yeah. You cannot miss almost any of these. You just can't.
Yeah.
Here we go. Next. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. And if you watched the Ever Mysterious Tim on John's show earlier, Tim is DMing and for a group of unbelievable players for Carlos Lysing, who rarely plays, for Anna, for Jason Zavoda, Matthew Lazinski, and William Henry Dvorak, Dark Hand Heartstrike, All Barbarian Adventure. That is Saturday morning, 9 a.m. on Virtual Greyhawk Con. All these are on this channel. Saturday night, the granddaddy of all the Greyhawk All-Stars game, Luke Gygax, Smelf. We get to see Smelf. Son of Melf will be playing. Eric Mona, Gary Holy, and Anna. The owner of Troller Games, Stephen Chenault, and our great friend and community director for Troller Games, Chuck Cumbo. All of them. I get to DM for them. What an honor. That's going to be a massive, massive night as well. A little fun game Sunday morning. Return of the Salamore Rangers. I know Gary liked that name. This is a reunion of my World of Warcraft guild playing in Greyhawk. And if you've ever played World of Warcraft, this is going to be an ode to the dead minds in World of Warcraft. So it's just going to be a fun little game where we play in Fantasy Grounds in 5e. Okay? A little fun one. Enjoy it. It'll just, something a little less stressful than the other adventures that are going to be going on. And then lastly, the Sunday night that ends the con, Greyhawk Ask the Experts. Len, Gary, Alan Growy, the Grow Dog, and Dennis Tetro Maldin. And so giveaways extreme during all these highlighted events from Reaper, from Troller Games, and maybe a couple other sponsors. We're going to have a lot of fun stuff going on. All right? I know I probably missed something, but hey, we ran late again, So anyone have anything else? Closing? I mean, this was a lot to discuss tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you. Why haven't we been doing this forever? Grape, it's a great point. So I told this to Luke Gygax on Sunday night. When Gary Con got canceled and we went all virtual, I produced 6 events for Gary Con. I was dead. Again, I will verify that. I was burnt out. But I said to myself, if I can do this for Gary Con, why can't I do this for Greyhawk Con? And that's when the idea came up from. So one of the good things that happened from Gary Con going virtual was Greyhawk Con went virtual. And then I got a good team behind me. Josh and all his technical people have really been helpful behind the scenes. And everyone else who's participating, I thank you, and the community should give everyone themselves an applause for everyone participating. Got some great DMs, and I'm hoping that we get all those games filled that are still not filled. So, is Canada? Now, don't worry about that. I ship to Canada. That's not a problem. I'll ship stuff to Canada. It's not a big deal. International. We have international games too, like Skageth's going to be doing a game internationally, so we have some international stuff. We'll get it all worked out. Don't worry about getting banged for shipping. Canadian. I would not worry. So we're gonna take care of all that, and we just appreciate everyone participating. I missed anything? I don't think so. That was good. All right. So who's on? Praters. We're gonna go to. I did Praters last week too. I know Will's not in a D. Yeah, we'll hit Praters. Mech 45, who's running this game, asked me to play in it as a guest appearance upcoming. I'm like, man, you got to give me till after Greyhawk Con. I can't do it on. I'm burnt as it is. So, all right, see you tomorrow night for a great game. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Jay.
Yes. All right, let me see if I can do this. Oh. Raid. Thank you. Yes, please stay safe. Nice. Almost 50. Almost 50. 10 seconds. Here we go. Heading in. Yes, they are, Tim. The real secret societies, oh, you probably lost me, are still secret. Awesome.
The DM has to know, though.
Yeah. Well, a player can kind of start a secret society without telling anybody. So.
Oh, they in break? Oh, they're in break.
Yeah, these symbols around the Silent One's flag or heraldry look like kanji or...
Yeah, they exactly look like something like that, but they're slightly blurry or not that detailed, so it's hard to tell.
I guess that's ancient Seoul.
Yeah.
It looks like a symbol of the cult of Tharizdun or something.
Yeah, I would say it's a triangle, two triangles.
See everyone tomorrow night.
A circle, so yeah.